This lack of leadership and accountability is astounding. They're not going to do him any favors here just because he's from Indiana, right? He's got to earn it.
And so when you look at the NBA, it's the same thing. LeBron, look at the longevity of that body.
Well, just the investment into his body.
Oftentimes, those guys, there's a lot of burden that comes with it.
Yeah.
Are you going to live up to that?
You ever drive down the interstate and you see a car that's been through hell? It is put together by scrap metal and duct tape, and you're just hoping for the best. That is the absolute definition of what the Colts are.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for tuning in to the Get Indiana Podcast Network. My name is Dominic Miranda, and I've been covering sports for nearly a decade, most of which right here in Indianapolis. This is the Get In Sports Podcast. We're going to be covering everything in the Hoosier State, high school, college, pro, in the sports capital of the universe, in the greatest state on planet Earth. Thanks so much for coming on this journey with us. Let's get into it. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome inside the studios of Get In and Get In Sports, part of the Get Indiana Podcast Network. We're back again. We're talking ball, and there's a lot to get to here today, so why don't we get right into it? We have Matt Carroll, first-time repeat guest, recurring guest, you might call him. Matt Carroll is back on the podcast talking all things NBA draft recap with Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn getting drafted, just kind of some general thoughts about basketball in the association, and talking about the World Cup, which is so close to finishing up so sadly because of what a great time it's been. Matt Carroll actually grew up in Latin America, so he has an enhanced appreciation about the World Cup and soccer as a whole and what it means to those nations in Central and South America and Europe and all these different places, that it is the main sport. It is the main thing for these different countries. So really unique perspective from Matt Carroll. Again, one of just 4 players to ever play for both Matt Painter and Gene Cady. So basketball fanatic, talking about Purdue guys who've made the jump to the next level, and a lot of other stuff as well, especially about the Fever and Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. So you'll want to definitely stick around for that interview with Matt Carroll. But today we got to talk about it, and we've talked about it basically all summer long. Don't worry, folks. Football is almost here to save us from ourselves, but we got to talk about the WNBA. Over the weekend, Dan Patrick, longtime sports broadcaster, host of the Dan Patrick Show with the Danettes and everything, legend, okay, told a story about how he was going to have WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert on his podcast, on his sports show, I guess you would call it. And she said, yes, going to answer the tough questions. Again, during this whole Caitlin Clark situation with the Phoenix Mercury. And beyond that, just the general feelings and question marks, and so many different things have happened this WNBA season as far as, yes, a lot of has revolved around Caitlin Clark. There's no question about it. But there's this narrative that there's this like conceited, this effort basically to, concerted effort to make it so Caitlin Clark isn't the face of the league or something of that effect. She hasn't answered anything about this, or she didn't come out and answer anything about, Alyssa Thomas is saying she wasn't notified of the suspension until hours before. She's getting death threats. Caitlin Clark's whole situation is being blown out of proportion. So these players are hitting the media, the coaches are hitting the media, but Cathy Engelbert not like loudly silent about the entire thing. So not only is she not even just putting out statements during this whole thing, she's not addressing anything on camera. Nothing of this effect. So Dan Patrick asked her if she'll come on the show. She says yes. He's like, great. So they wait 90 minutes after they're done recording one day for her to come. Keep waiting, keep waiting, keep waiting. Finally, a representative hit them back and said, look, she's not going to talk to you based on the advice of PR of WNBA. This lack of leadership and accountability is astounding, I just have to say. And the reason I bring this up on this particular podcast is because a lot of it is revolving around Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Like, why, and we're going to get into it with Matt Carroll as well, but why the league can't seem to just embrace the Indiana Fever superstar as the face of the WNBA is beyond me. She has instituted and kind of spearheaded this increased interest, this increased viewership, the style in which she plays is so fascinating and fun. I mean, we've talked about it before on this podcast, how 19 of the top 20 most viewed WNBA games include Caitlin Clark. So she's just like a superstar. And I don't want to get like too in the weeds about this because it's exhausting. And, you know, I think Caitlin Clark's tired of it. I think everybody's tired of it because we know that she's a stud. And we know that she is one of the main drivers of this increased popularity of the WNBA. The league just can't seem to understand that. And I don't understand this Cathy Engelbert situation. You are the commissioner of the WNBA. If you want to go on a podcast, you can do that. You don't have to listen to your PR team. In fact, in this case, you shouldn't listen to your PR team because there's been zero comments coming out of the league office. And you want to talk about squashing narratives? A level-headed statement about anything, you on camera addressing this head on would do wonders for this, where it doesn't fester and people don't say things that aren't true because you nipped it in the bud from the beginning. And maybe come to bat for your superstar of this WNBA league. Say it without a shadow of doubt. Caitlin Clark's face of this league. And you know what? We need to do it. We need to do a better job of protecting her. That needs to happen. Because it's getting to a point where this is getting dangerous and ridiculous and stupid. So unreal out of her to ditch someone as famous and as, you know, well-renowned and unbiased and with such integrity of Dan Patrick to just, you know, if you don't want to do the interview, don't do the interview. Say no. We in this industry, we get that all the time. But to say yes and then just leave and don't do it and then just like, the response and the excuse to do that, I just have a serious problem with. So just wanted to off the top say that because we need someone from this league and maybe a different commissioner needs to step in because I've been largely like, give her the benefit of the doubt. The WNBA increased in popularity overnight. She wasn't prepared for this. They weren't prepared for this. And that's all true. But just be accountable. You have to be accountable and be a leader in these situations and get out in front of these situations. And like, yeah, maybe get a new PR team because I think a good PR team would be like, yo, you need to talk to the public about this. Maybe go on, pick the most reputable sports program there is. Go on and squash these narratives. And maybe people won't like your answers, but at least you're answering. And I think that's the big thing with me in the WNBA. Like, I don't know. It feels like they're a victim of their own success right now. The lack of leaning into Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, to me, is just crazy. It's the most popular franchise right now, the best fan base. I mean, everywhere they go, there's Fever fans and Caitlin Clark fans. Like, just take your blinders off and understand what's happening here. We'll talk about it a bit more in a second. But Fever, middle of the pack right now, 3 Fever All-Stars, Kelsey Mitchell, Aliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark. First time ever, consecutive seasons, there have been 3 Fever All-Stars, so that's awesome. Sophie Cunningham was close, very popular, obviously. Fever, we've talked about it. They're middle of the pack right now. They are what their record says they are, but it does feel like they're kind of getting a little pep in their step here mid-season. I think the All-Star break's going to come at a really good time. I'm going to be there, actually, so be sure to follow along on social media at Miranda TV, at Get In Sports. We're going to do some cool stuff and boots on ground there in Chicago. I'm going to go out on a limb here. This hasn't been said, and maybe by when this podcast release, it will be. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say Caitlin Clark is going to participate in the 3-point contest because she was supposed to last year in Indianapolis and obviously got hurt and wasn't able to do that. And Lexi Hull competed in her stead. But the day we're owed as WNBA fans here, Caitlin. Come on now. You got to participate and win this 3-point contest because I'm going up Friday. We have hotels booked. So if there's no Fever participation on Friday, then I'm SOL here. All right. And so is WTHR. So we need to make sure that happens. But I think this is going to be a good break for the Fever. The health has remained an interesting part of this with Caitlin Clark's back. There's been a minutes restriction. This road trip's kind of been wonky. They're back at home finally. Lower leg injury for Aliyah Boston. Back spasms for Sophie Cunningham. Not major stuff, but kind of like, all right, maybe another break won't be all that bad. And actually the break they just got done with because of the Commissioner's Cup stuff is going to be longer than the All-Star break. Riddle me that, WNBA. But Look, I'm not going to sound the alarm here, and we'll get to some other stuff here, but WNBA, just do better. And Fever, they're going to hit their stride late season. Will Duncan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think just like what you said, I think the Fever are what they say they are, what they look like on paper. I do also want to point out the fact that I know that we talk about the injury concerns with Caitlin Clark, obviously the lower leg injury to Aliyah Boston, but I personally think that Kelsey Mitchell's praises are not being sung enough.
Yes.
I'm looking at her stats right now, in 10 games, she has had at least 16. Of 8 of those 10 games, it's been at least 26 points. The last 5 games have been at least 27 points. She is unbelievable. And to your credit, we've talked about this before. I think at least this season, she is by and large the best player on the Fever. I know that the star power probably says it's Caitlin Clark, but you're talking about consistency staying healthy and pulling the team to wins. I think Kelsey Mitchell does all of that.
I love that, Will, because I completely agree. Underappreciated. Praises are not sung nearly enough. Cool as a cucumber, consistent as a metronome. Kelsey Mitchell, unbelievable. I like to call her the microwave because she just scores and bursts. She's the fastest player, fastest guard in the WNBA. Kelsey Mitchell, appreciation to you. Eastern Conference Player of the Week. Oh, by the way, just recently for the Indiana Fever. How many games in a row with 25-plus points?
Let's see. She had 27, 29, 29, 27, 26, 30, 22, 16, 26, 27.
5 or 6 games in a row or
nuts.
something.
Yes.
Especially when there's people in and out of the lineup. Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston. She doesn't miss games. Mm-hmm. Kelsey Mitchell. She's consistently scoring the basketball, making clutch shots, making this offense go. Just the epitome of a scorer in the W.
She comes to play and she comes to lead and she does it every single night, and you cannot ask for anything else.
You can't ask for anything else. Kelsey Mitchell appreciation post. So yeah, I think just keep an eye out for the Fever. I do think they're getting better. I really, really do. We've talked about the defense, the turnovers. They have to improve. You're not going to win a WNBA championship if you don't improve those things. But it feels like, I don't know. The dominating win over the Aces when A'ja Wilson is on the floor and Aliyah Boston plays like she did, they can beat anybody. They can beat anybody, and it feels like they can lose to anybody. You don't want to be that, and that's why you're around 500. But look out for the Fever. All right, Fever going to be just fine. All right, hey, we're going to introduce a new segment here, and tell me if it's dumb. I think it's going to be great. Sponsorships are aplenty with this, by the way. So you know how when you get arrested, Will, you get read your Miranda rights?
I do.
Well, my name is Dominic Miranda, as you know, and I just thought this has been something I've always wanted to do, read your Miranda rights, and you'll kind of see how this goes, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to start right here. Number 1, you have the right to want a new commissioner of the WNBA. We talked about it at the top of the show. Cathy Engelbert spurning Dan Patrick on his show, telling him basically you can go kick rocks. We're not going to go on your show and address these concerns that the entire WNBA fan base has. We're not going to answer the hard questions on a reputable and a show with integrity like Dan Patrick. It's ridiculous. This is just the latest in a long string of a lack of leadership and accountability, refusing to embrace Caitlin Clark as the star and the Indiana Fever as the premier franchise in the WNBA. You absolutely are justified and have the right to want a new commissioner in the WNBA.
Yeah, Dom, I completely agree with this. The utter silence from Cathy is honestly mind-blowing to me. I've grown up a lifelong sports fan of the NBA, the NFL, both with very notable commissioners in Roger Goodell and Adam Silver. And I'd mentioned this on a podcast previously, but let's take Patrick Mahomes, or we take Stephen Curry or LeBron James. If any of them were under scrutiny, Adam Silver, Roger Goodell would be sprinting to the press to be like, we do not condone any of this. We love our stars. We love our league. And for Cathy, it feels like it's almost just the exact opposite. She sits back, she lets all these narratives build up, and when she has the opportunity to sit down with Dan Patrick, talk about it, be like, no, we love Caitlin Clark. She is the face of our league. She is the superstar. Her PR is actually like, yeah, we're actually okay. We're gonna take a step back. We're just gonna twiddle our thumbs a little bit and kind of let this go. And you're surprised when no one likes you as a commissioner, and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do it. Well, you were actively walking away from talking about the star player that has been under scrutiny for, honestly, since the minute she stepped into the league. And
exactly.
You have every single opportunity in the world to just be like, we don't condone this. We love her, but you don't.
And you don't even have to say we love her, but just answer the questions.
Yeah,
there are hard questions that when you're a legitimate league in professional sports, you have to answer.
Yes.
Roger Goodell doesn't go on podcasts. that's okay, because he just says, no, I'm not going to do that. But whenever there's a problem, there's a statement, there's a press conference, there's this, there's that, immediately addressed. NBA, another great example. Adam Silver, you can like him or not like him,
Yes.
but he addresses things head on. That, like,
You can also see,
that's
too,
what it is.
Adam Silver, I would say, though he has a little bit of controversy, he works with the fans. He introduced the NBA Cup. He's been open to listening about the fans if they like the three-point contest, if they like the All-Star game. All of these things, he works in collaboration because he knows that the fans are the shape of the league. If the fans love the league, it's going to continue to blossom. And if you turn your blind eye to your star, the WNBA, with its peak stardom and its peak fandom right now, if you don't do just the bare minimum to just protect your star player of the franchise and of the league, people are going to start leaving, and I'm not going to be surprised when they do.
And this is the time to capitalize on this fandom and this passion for the WNBA. And it feels like each year there's something like this. And you know who the most reasonable person about all this situation and all this noise has been is Caitlin Clark. She comes out, she tackles things head on. Again, you can agree, you can disagree, but she talked about it and she put it to rest. And the minute she did, we're done talking about it. You let this fester, and it becomes a 2-day story. It becomes a 3-day story. It becomes a 2-week story.
Yeah.
And then you're saying, well, I'm going to defer to my press conference at the All-Star game.
And it feels
well, now it's not going to be about the All-Star game. It's going to be all these other questions.
And it feels like we can go on this forever, but if Caitlin Clark, who is the face of the league, has to shoulder the load of the questions that the commissioner herself is literally in position to do, what are we doing?
What are we doing? It's not Caitlin Clark. She just wants to play basketball. It's not her job. She's constantly put in these situations. And I've said on this show before, she has every right to just not treat the media well. And she does it over and over. She handles herself with grace, a level head, dignity, addresses things, moves on, tries to make it about basketball. And for some reason,
It doesn't.
the league will, and it won't. And then the league doesn't do that. It's crazy.
Just let the girl hoop, man. That's all.
Just let her hoop. Hey, you have the right to want a new commissioner in the WNBA. All right, number 2, you have the right to be a tad nervous about the Indiana Pacers. All right, I want to be very clear. I trust Tyrese Halliburton. I trust Rick Carlisle. But there has been a lot of activity in the Eastern Conference that have the Pacers gotten passed up. I'm not sitting here saying yes or no. I'm saying the Philadelphia 76ers went and got Jaylen Brown. I'm saying the Washington Wizards even drafted DeBansa. They got Trey Young. Are they a legitimate contender? Probably not. But the Cleveland Cavaliers are getting better. They just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Where does LeBron James go? He's going to probably be somewhere in the Eastern Conference. The New York Knicks just won the NBA Finals, an NBA championship in New York for the first time in forever. All these teams, there's probably 8 to 10 teams in the Eastern Conference who think they can win a playoff series. I mean, you're talking about the Orlando Magic, a really young and interesting core. The Toronto Raptors just got Kawhi Leonard, pending everything that's going on there. So do I believe the Pacers are a top 3 team in the East or a top 4 team in the East? Yes. I didn't even mention the Boston Celtics, by the way. But you have the right to be a tad nervous about it. How's Tyrese Halliburton going to look post Achilles tear, post shingles? How is Ivica Zubac going to fit in to this team? Rick Carlisle said this team's going to look a little bit different via style of play, via personnel. Again, I want to be very clear. I trust Tyrese. I trust Rick Carlisle, but you have the right to be a little nervous about the Pacers.
You do, and it's really interesting. I, as an avid NBA fan, have not seen the East have such a paradigm of 8 to 10 teams that you know for a fact are making the playoffs, and then there's just a bottom 5 teams that you can kind of look to the side about.
Right.
But any given day, you can be worried about 1 through 7, 1 through 8 for these East teams. You talk about the Pistons, the Celtics.
Pistons.
Yeah.
60 games. Didn't even mention that.
The 1 seed. And yes, they're young, but they're only going to get better. And that's going to be the problem with a lot of these teams, especially, as you said, AJ Devonta being in the East is a little bit scary. You have Paula Banchero, you have Cade Cunningham. All of these young stars are just hitting their peak now. And as we've said, Tyrese Halliburton was amazing when he was healthy, yes. We've lost some pieces since the finals. We've traded for some guys. Some guys are getting older. We have some new young guys in there. It's a lot to expect from the Pacers. Do we think that it can happen? Yes, obviously.
Absolutely.
But the stakes are probably higher than they were before. Just even 2 weeks ago, you get the addition of Jaylen Brown on a team that looks legit. Hey, mind you, the 76ers still have an MVP in Joel Embiid. Sure, his injuries have been really problematic, but you have Tyrese Maxey, you have finals MVP Jaylen Brown, you have MVP Joel Embiid. If that team can stay healthy, I'm honestly more nervous about them than like the Knicks or anybody else.
What about Edgecombe too?
Dude, yeah, that we could go on forever.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes, he looks insane. They just drafted LeBaron Philon. He had like 30 against us in the summer league. Folks, the East is real. It is legit. I know we've had all this debacle about, oh, it's just the West. The West is all the NBA talent. Not anymore. It is legit. The East is here, and the Pacers have to step up to the plate.
How many people thought the Spurs were going to roll all over the Knicks, and that just didn't happen?
I absolutely did.
The Spurs took down the Thunder. I'm like, all right, it's curtains. Not so fast. I didn't even mention the Miami Heat, who just got Giannis.
Dude, yeah.
Okay,
it's
all these teams believe they can win, and they might. And I don't think the Pacers don't have to win 50, 60 games to get to the finals. Okay, they won 50 when they went to the finals. They weren't the 1 seed.
Nope.
Home court is important that first round, I think. But from there, you can beat, there's series for a reason. And I really do trust Rick Carlisle. I trust Tyrese Halliburton to be ready. But how quickly does Ivica Zubac fit into what they do? Are they different without, Miles Turner's ability to stretch the floor? What Zubac lacks with that, he makes up for in defense and rebounding, which was a massive part and improvement piece of this team. I think the Pacers can do it. I think Tyrese Halliburton's the man. I do think Pascal Siakam is aging, but you have the right to be a tad nervous about the Indiana Pacers. All right, number 3, you have the right to be not only apathetic, but pessimistic about the Indianapolis Colts. I want to preface this. I hope I'm wrong with everything I'm about to say, but there are so many question marks with this team. How's Daniel Jones going to be 9 months post Achilles tear? He looked great in OTAs. Can we expect him to play a full 17-game season? JT wants a new contract. How's he going to look? Because we lean on him a lot as far as this offense goes. Michael Pittman Jr. hits the road. Can Alec Pierce be a number 1 receiver? Does this offense go through Tyler Warren? Josh Downs is still here. I think the offense is the least of our worries here, but we are relying on a lot of rookies on defense. Sauce Gardner, we're expecting a lot out of him on this defense for what we're paying him and what we paid to get him here as far as draft picks. Travarius Ward, concussions are going to catch up to him if this injury bug continues with him. Worried about that situation with Travarius Ward. A lot of rookies are expected to step up on this defense. Nick Cross hits the road. Kenny Moore hits the road. Zaire Franklin hits the road. What's the health status of DeForest Buckner on this team? Can Latu take the next step as a first-round edge draft pick who we need to have double-digit sacks? Oh, by the way, you play 8 really tough teams to start this season. So all this to say, a lot of question marks. And the reason I say apathetic, too, is because not a lot has changed over 10 years. Haven't won the division since 2014. Chris Ballard has a losing record as the GM. So my point of apathy is that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's what it feels like the Colts organization is doing. The pessimism stems from not only that, but a lot of question marks that I just said. So I think you are validated and have the right to be apathetic and pessimistic as far as the 2026-2027 Indianapolis Colts.
You ever drive down the interstate and you see a car that's been through hell and you're like, wow, it is put together by scrap metal and duct tape and you're just hoping for the best. That is the absolute definition of what the Colts are. You know that it's messed up. You don't really want to spend to get it fixed, so you're just going to slap some tape on it and let it drive down the road. And you look from afar and you're like, wow, that is a mess. But some people, it works, man. And I need something different from the Colts. I've been a long time Colts fan. Chris Ballard has been subpar. I can think as my best positive attribute for him. Since we've lost, obviously, Andrew Luck, it has just been rough to keep your stars around. We talked about Jonathan Taylor needing a new contract. The fact that we are still even considering not giving that to him is just already basically all I need to know. You give so much money to Daniel Jones. You give so much money to Alec Pierce and DeForest Buckner and Sauce Gardner. And unfortunately, what those stars have all kind of had in common is that people think we paid a little too much for them. If you're overspending for subpar players, the rest of your team is going to be subpar, even less than that, because you don't got the money to spend. And so, I don't know. I don't see a bright future for the Colts for a while, unfortunately, and it hurts me to say that as I've grown up watching them. But I don't really have much to say.
Yeah, I love that analogy you said because it's true. And I hope I'm wrong. I want the Colts to be good, but between the schedule they saw and like, yes, we have the 8-2 start to the year last year, but if you really look at it objectively, easier schedule that first half of the season. And even before Daniel Jones' injury, the wheels were starting to come off.
And remember how many of those games were like a one possession win that could have gone either way.
Could have gone either way, like against the Cardinals or like the Dolphins or like, look, Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen together exceeded expectations. I think the offense can be kind of good. You got Lamar Jackson, possibly Patrick Mahomes because of the torn ACL situation, and CJ Stroud to start the season for a young Colts defense. Yes, you have Sauce Gardner. Yes, you have Charvarius Ward. All right. Yes, you have Cam Bynum. 3 guys that I think are very, very, very good. But who's the leader on this defense? Yes, those guys. It's Sauce's, year and a half in here in Indianapolis. DeForest Buckner, how's his health going to be? Can Latu take the next step? I don't know. I have a bad feeling about it.
Yeah.
I want to be wrong.
If
I am, kill me in the comments or whatever. But like, I think you have the right to be pessimistic and apathetic.
If our goal is to kind of, not necessarily have a ton of defensive stops and just try to outscore teams, I like every other team's chances over us. Like, sure, I know that we have I'm not going to say that I'm not going to sit back and be like, oh, our offense is horrible. It's okay. Sure. Like it is a solid, decent offense. But if our whole goal is like, oh, we're just going to go out and score 35 points a game and allow 35 points a game, guys, it's not going to happen. I love our team, but we are subpar at best. I love Jonathan Taylor to the ground, offensive player of the year. He is outstanding. But other than that, these guys, like being objective, I think these guys are okay.
Yeah. Maybe, the holdup with Jonathan Taylor, it's like, Chris Ballard, man, we're playing for your job right now. Like, are we going to give you the keys to make this contract extension? Not saying that he doesn't deserve it. I'm saying he 100% deserves it. But if we're looking at this 30,000-foot view, even though the Colts can pay a running back, are they in the position to do so when they may not be? Yeah. That's a luxury position to buy.
It is.
Right? And like, he deserves it. I'm not saying he doesn't. And he is a bright spot of this Colts organization.
We love him here too.
But like, let's look at this legitimately. Like, what if things go really south and do you want him tied up? Like, maybe. And I don't know. I
really was hesitating to bring this up, but if you think about subpar teams with amazing running backs, typically means that they leave. You think of Saquon with the Giants, he left. You think of Christian McCaffrey with the Panthers, he left. Derrick Henry with the Titans, he left.
Oof.
If we continue down the road, guys, I really, really, really would not like to see Jonathan Taylor be bright in another possible city, but it is a legit chance because it is just how it continues to go. All these teams, they don't want to spend their money on a solidified player, so they're going to take a risk and trade for a few picks, try to maybe start the rebuild that Chris Ballard has been hesitant to do for the last decade. But let's just hope for the best because I would not like to see Jonathan Taylor in any other uniform.
Hope for the best. I mean, look, we don't want this to happen. I want to go out on the record and say that I don't want I want the Colts to win every game and win a Super Bowl and see the city come alive. But I'm not going to hold my breath. And that's what I'll leave you with. All right, that's enough of us yapping here at the beginning. We got Matt Carroll coming up. We're going to talk all things basketball. Nate Spangle will also be joining us. So take a listen, subscribe, like, follow. Appreciate you guys. And Matt Carroll. This episode of Get In Sports, we liked him so much, we decided to have him back. Former Purdue basketball player, participant on a popular dating show you may see soon. One of just 4 players ever to play under both Matt Painter and Gene Katie. Basketball savant and dear friend of the show, Matt Carroll, first repeat guest on Get In Sports.
Well, it's great to be here again. Good to see you guys.
Let's go.
It's an honor for you to be here with us. And we really enjoyed your sports takes last time, primarily talking about Purdue basketball. And I think to give our viewers, listeners, also Nate Spangle is here. Nate,
oh, yeah, I'm in here.
Love having Nate as well. But I think to give our listeners and viewers an even clear idea of who you are, you're itching to get into sports broadcasting full time. So I'd love to get those systems in place, like you're beginning to do that. Can you walk us through that epiphany and kind of where you are in that process?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. So what happened was when I graduated from Purdue, I actually wanted to get into broadcasting. I was recruited very heavily by UCLA in high school, and Steve Lavin was there at the time, and he was the one that recruited me heavily, and wanted me to be a part of that team. And eventually, he unfortunately got fired from UCLA, but then he went to ESPN. And so we kept in touch because he was assigned the Big Ten, and he would come through multiple times a year. And so we would talk, we'd catch up. And all of a sudden, when I graduated, I thought, you know what? I want to get into broadcasting. Yeah. And I was in the booths with him and on trucks, watching, behind the scenes stuff, and got a chance to really get kind of a front row seat to all of it. And that's what I wanted to do. But then life took me in a different direction. And all of a sudden, about 8 months ago, I went on this show. And while I was on there, I kept getting people saying, Matt, are you in broadcasting? Are you in hosting? You should be if you're not. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking, wow, here we are. Maybe there's this door opening. And I just had a conversation with Doug Mason from the show when I was out in LA a couple weeks ago. We talked about how sometimes life will reveal opportunities for you that you didn't realize maybe that you were good at until later, or when you're ready for something like that. And all of a sudden, here we are, and I signed with an agent, out in LA, and she represents a lot of very good ex-athletes, coaches, and interesting hosts and broadcasters. And so I'm excited about all these doors opening and the opportunities, and look forward to it.
Yeah, the ex-athlete, ex-coach piece is interesting because, a lot of them have said it's not as easy as it looks to go from playing, because you have all this knowledge, but then to articulate that in a TV ready or radio ready way. You seem very good at it, I want to say.
I appreciate that.
But dude, Steve Lavin was electric on TV, by the way.
He's got not only a great voice, but he's also a great storyteller. And some of the great color commentators out there are just really great storytellers. And so he's got that, right? On 100%. Top of the knowledge. And actually, I would say that people like Steve Lavin are kind of like a dying breed, unfortunately, in coaching. So much of it's become so heavy on the business,
transactional,
and naturally so, given where we're at with the environment. But he's one of the greats. I compare him to like Phil Jackson, right? He's very philosophical and really gets into kind of life lessons when we're talking about just basketball and sports in general. So it's one of the reasons we get along so well. But yeah, I appreciate that. No, it's funny. Night one, when I was on the show, one of the guys pulled me aside. So a little backstory here. I was with the guys. For those of you who have seen the show before, we were at the mansion out in LA, and we were all standing outside kind of by the pool area, and Jesse Palmer called us in. And we're walking in, and Jesse, who's a big guy, he's kind of stout, right? He played for Notre Dame, then in the NFL, and he's not a small guy. And as we're walking in, he kind of did a double take when he looked at me, and then he did like a bro nod, And so,
respect.
And I bro nodded back, of course. But later on, one of the guys said, "Hey, do you know Jesse?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "Well, it sure looked like you knew him, and or he knew you." And so it's funny because then he said, "Well, Matt, we were all sitting there saying." We thought he was going to say, hey, plot twist, Matt's co-hosting this season with me. And so I kept hearing those kinds of things. And at one point I go, maybe I should start paying attention to this.
Yeah, right.
And so here we are.
That's really awesome. Do you have a specific area of sports broadcasting you're most interested in or would fit your skill set the best? Because, you have studio hosting, you have color commentating, you have sideline reporting.
Yeah.
A lot of different podcasting. There's so many different areas.
I hesitate to put myself in any one of those categories only. I feel like I'm better on camera, right? So anything that's hosting, whether it's in studio or interviewing, those are my natural strengths, right? Even right now we're podcasting, and so anything where we're kind of interviewing, talking, having a conversation about sports in general is one of my bigger strengths. When I think about when we were talking about Purdue basketball, and I think about some of the great play-by-play and color commentators right now, I would put Robbie Hummel up there.
Oh, yeah.
Hummel is
really good.
Really good.
Yes.
And so...
dude, that clip of when Purdue made it to the Final Four, and he's like crying.
I interviewed him shortly after that, and it was very cool how genuine he was.
Yeah.
But he is among the best going right now.
He's great. And he's also a great human being, too, which makes it really nice. But yeah,
Don't you love that? Like when people that you see out in public or on media, and then you meet them in person, you're like, oh, you're just salt of the earth.
Great guy,
Good people.
It makes it even better, right?
Yeah.
And he's worked very hard. And he didn't just all of a sudden arrive. He's been doing this for over a decade.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing about that is it takes some practice. Like I think that Tom Brady, for instance, we might have talked about this before, but Tom Brady's like you are electric on the field. You get in the booth. And it's like a new game. It's like a new challenge to like hit your stride and get your personality and your jokes. And you think about like, I think at first people thought like Tony Romo when he would call out what he thought was going to happen, and then people kind of start to get annoyed with that, and you kind of have to reinvent yourself at times.
Well, that's just you can't always win. Also, I mean, people are really hard critics. You have to just keep moving the bar, keep exceeding expectations, right?
And it is a different, like, just because you are a diehard fan or you have a lot of knowledge of the sport, being able to carry yourself and be entertaining, like, dude, I think play-by-play is one of like the craziest skill sets to have. Yeah. Like someone who can like see and in real time distill what is happening on the field and think of like the adjectives. One thing about Dom when you were doing play-by-play and when other people I've heard are just like the way they pull these adjectives out of like thin air to talk about, you know, the crowd goes electric, but they use different words for it. I think
Scully,
it's so cool.
I mean, Vince Scully used to have I would listen to him read the phone book. That guy was electric. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Matt, and where you were going on Robbie Hummel, because to Nate's point too, you have to get a feel. You don't want to talk over your play-by-play guy. You want to give insight when you have a chance. You don't want to keep talking while another play is. There's just so many of these nuances that people don't understand. I mean, I was talking to a guy who didn't even understand that there was a difference between a play-by-play and a color commentator. He's like, oh, I thought these guys were just having a conversation, and it's way deeper than that. But why do you think Robbie is so good at what
Well, and it's changing, right? I mean, we used to have sideline reporters as well, and even that's become, I don't want to say a dying breed, but it's definitely changing. We now have 3 people sitting in the booth, or whether it be at the football game where it's a booth or whether it be at a basketball game where they're on the floor. Yeah. But now you're seeing, especially in the Final Four, for example, where you've got 3 commentators, a play-by-play, and then 2 guys who are doing color commentating. So it's even more nuanced when you're thinking about 3 guys trying to figure it out. But typically it's like it's anything else where it's a team. And you're having to figure each other out, and you talk to the guys who do it at the top of the top. They'll tell you that they're guys that it's a real struggle with, you're trying to figure each other out even on air. Yeah. And then afterwards, where you talk to other guys who are saying that, it's just, it's almost like that perfect pass where he hands off a comment, he kind of leaves it for you to say something, and it goes back and forth. There's a good banter. Yeah. And so the greats know how to do that really well. Mm-hmm. And you see that in football, you see it in basketball. It's a little bit more, I think, to your point with Romo and Tom Brady, I think you observe it and see it more in football because there's so much conversation happening for so long. It's not happening as quickly as it does in basketball. Yeah. But people don't appreciate how much goes into it in basketball. So coming back to Robbie Hummel, what makes him so great is the fact that, first of all, he's got a great voice, which helps. And he also has a great understanding of the game. And he played at the highest level too. He played overseas. He played in the NBA. And then he played at Purdue, and he's experienced success at the highest level, but he's also experienced some hardships. Yeah. And he had to have surgeries and things like that. So he knows what it means to be at the top and then also, have to sit the bench a little bit, go through injuries. So he's able to relate to a lot of areas of the game. And I think that's a big part of being a good announcer is not only storytelling, but being able to relate to those that are on the floor. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it gives you credibility too, right? There's no question about that. And people do forget Robbie Hummel was a baller, and injuries really derailed. I think he could have been a really good NBA player too, and it just didn't work out there. But who do you think the best play-by-play? I know this is an ever-changing conversation, and like people's rankings changed. I'm just interested in what you think as a viewer of sports. Who do you think the best play-by-play is going? Any sport right now. I mean, there's so many. I feel like we're lucky, and we're in a really good age of broadcast.
Well, I think I would separate them from like the characters of the game. Yeah. And the people who are really good to listen to. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So Nance, you can never go wrong with him, right? But then we have the up-and-coming, guys, or I don't even know if they're up-and-coming anymore, but some of these guys who are, the great color commentators right now, especially in football, who's taken over all podcasting, and he's here in Indiana. Yeah.
Pat McAfee?
Pat McAfee.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
There you go. So
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask, what do you feel about alt streams? Like cast, like the Manning cast or the McAfee cast. Like, what do you think about watching the same product but with different commentary?
I'm like a traditionalist where I have to have the game. I feel like I'm 60 years old, but I just have to have the game broadcast on because I love it.
Yeah.
I have viewed the Manning cast and I've enjoyed it. I have viewed the all cast of like the national championship with Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Have enjoyed it. It's too much like off. Like I need full attention to the game discussion. Maybe I'm in the minority. I think there's clearly an audience for it because people watch.
Well,
right?
you also have Barstool. I mean, you get to a point where,
too.
so it's a lot of it's become entertainment like anything else. And so I think that we're in a streaming world right now. And a lot of the sports right now, it's like anything else. People talk about where they get their news from, Fox, CNN, all that kind of stuff. Now it's, it's Twitter, it's Meta, it's all those things. So I think the same thing has happened with sports, where we're now in an era where sports has become less about me waking up early in the morning, and I'm going to sound like I'm 70 now too, where you're watching ESPN, waiting for the top 10.
Yeah,
where now
that was my life, man.
Yeah, that was my life.
Like
where now we're like Stuart Scott, right? You'd wake up and you couldn't wait to hear what he had to say.
That was literally the reason I got into this. Was Stuart Scott top 10 would be late for the bus going to school because I had to watch it.
You had to watch it.
It was awesome.
Dude, do you think there's a world in which people will tune in and watch us altcast the state championship?
Yes.
Like it's like we buy the stream from the IHSAA, and it's just like us sitting here like watching state basketball and hanging out.
Let's manifest that.
Yeah,
that would be pretty
think,
fun.
Like especially at the high school ranks, like that's not happening right now. And I think they saw it with these great personalities in national sports. That why not? Why wouldn't people watch and be like, this is kind of cool? This is like making this feel big.
Especially in Indiana, right?
Especially,
dude,
absolutely.
and it's like, I feel like if they did that, you could find sponsors and replace the like $25 state championship fee.
Yeah.
Like it's
people
expensive.
are salty about
Dude,
that. You didn't
I'm
have
just
to
saying-
pay to watch it. I mean, I could turn on Chuck Freebie in Northern Indiana and watch all 4 state championship games for free.
I don't think you can do that anymore,
You cannot
right?
do that anymore.
And it's like,
crazy.
dude, I don't know how many people do you think are spending $20? Like, let's even say it was 1,000. If that's 20,000 in revenue, do you think you could sell 20,000 in sponsorship of like a really fun cast?
Yes. Yeah.
Where
I think 100%.
You know, like you're bringing in and you're activating sponsors, and it's like we build the like I don't know, like the Dad Water high school state championship cave, and it's just like us hanging out. We're not on site. You probably maybe like not having alcohol
Lucas
brands.
Oil would certainly be able to lend itself to an on-site situation if we wanted, but I almost like the cave situation.
Yeah, where it's like you're
reacting.
watching it, you can see the high school, and you're like talking about, you know, where this kid's going to college. And,
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, I do think that that's a piece where, again, you put a lot on a few amount of broadcasters for like the state championship, and it's tough for them to know everything about all the kids.
Yeah. Well, also
so
it's very like structured, robotic.
And you
Like I
can't-
like the, you know, guard down, banter, like you're in a bar situation.
Yeah, and it's like you can't be like candid. You can't be like real and raw and authentic and like laugh and joke and have fun.
Yeah.
You know,
Which
that's fair.
there's a place. Don't get me wrong. There is a place for that. People
Dom is
enjoy
very
that.
traditionalist.
I am if you can't tell.
I'm figuring this out. But here, let me interject this. This is a very interesting thing. When you watch certain games, right? Let's take the Big Ten. There are games where you can tell when you're watching certain games that there's great announcing happening, and others where it's lacking a little bit.
100%.
And it's not necessarily it's not me saying that one is necessarily they're bad announcers or anything, but there is a difference, like anything else, where there are talented broadcasters, and when you're listening to them, not only how they use their voice, but their cadence and how they view the game, how the dialogue that's happening, and then we're talking about Hummel and how he's able to see the game, or even Tony Romo, where he's able to guess what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, you begin to realize how difficult it is in real time to do some of those things, and you've experienced it. So you not only have to understand the game, you have to understand the cadence of how to speak and what's going on and how to communicate that in a way that it's a skill set that people go to school for, in fact. And so, but just like anything else, I do believe that there are people out there that there are talented people in sports. That's the obvious thing, that there's talented artists, there's talented businessmen, and there's also talented broadcasters. And I think that that's something that we are seeing right now at the highest form of sports right now, is that's why some of these guys have risen to the top. It's not just a voice. It's not just, entertainment when it comes to certain things they're saying.
Yeah.
But it's also about how they're able to carry a broadcast overall.
Because it's so much more difficult than you think. And I mean, like the way Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt are, electric combination right there.
Gus is very good.
Mike Breen, the way he meets the moment in the NBA Finals. Okay, Ian Eagle, and you talk about the 3-person cast. And nobody ever talks over each other. Ian Eagle, Grant Hill, Bill Rafter.
Grant Hill is
unbelievable,
very good.
Right? Like, it's super impressive. And I think Mike Tirico is the best going right now, honestly, the way he does Sunday Night Football. And he can do the Olympics. He can do the Kentucky Derby. He did, NBA basketball when he was on ESPN. You talk about a guy who is, very versatile, Mike Tirico. But
I was just thinking about Bill Rafferty.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about how we now have come to know some of these guys because of their comments. Like, take it to the hole, big fella.
Onions.
Again.
I was literally thinking onions.
Yeah. Dude, it's electric. And he's like 80, I think.
Yeah,
Like
he's not young.
Yeah, he's not young. And the stories about him when they're traveling with him are legendary. There was a great story. I was so Joe White.
Yeah.
So he is now the voice of, I believe, the Dodgers.
Oh, okay.
And,
Joe Davis.
Joe Davis. Thank you. Joe Davis.
No, that's okay. He's really, really
Joe
good.
has got the voice of like an angel, right, when it comes to broadcasting. But Joe is talking about salt of the earth guys. Joe's a really good guy.
Yeah.
He was in town many years ago, actually doing a game with Steve Lavin.
Oh.
And he was a Butler game. And so
really?
we actually went to dinner afterwards, and I had breakfast the next day with Joe. And he is just the nicest human you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
But we were talking a lot about this, and he brought up a great Bill Rafferty story where he woke up one day, ready to go to the airport, and he couldn't find Bill. And he's like, "Where's Bill?" And he gets to the airport, all worried about him, thinking, "Well, maybe I got to get to the airport. I'm going to miss my flight, but maybe hopefully he makes it." And he was already sitting at the gate, and he just looked at me, and said something funny to Joe. But he just said that he's just a great guy and a great character, one of the great characters of the game.
Yeah, and those guys that I think pretty much everyone we named feels like a genuine person, and that makes it all the more better. Like
Jay Billis is another one, by the way.
Oh man, he's great. Schulman is fantastic. I mean, we talk about the Watt shot. Dick Vitale. I mean, yeah, this is just good stuff. So anyway, I didn't know.
How old is Dick Vitale? Let's look that up.
He's getting older too, man. I didn't know we were gonna go this far into sports broadcasting. I mean, this is like my guilty pleasure, obviously, with what I do. So I love it. But
Dick Vitale is now
87
years old.
He looks and acts younger. So does Rafferty. Like it keeps you young, I imagine, too.
Well, and then let's talk real quick, since we're on this, about what I believe to be one of the greatest foursome. I think it's four, right? When you talk about Charles Barkley, when you talk about those guys in the NBA.
Now we're talking like studio hosting.
Hosting.
Masterclass.
TNT.
Ernie Johnson, the way he controls those guys in a very not annoying way. And even when they get off, kilter, he reels them back in so easily. It is what makes it so good. Like when that show goes away, hopefully no time soon, there will be none like it ever again, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Shaq.
Yeah, just electric comments,
bro. And they have some like off the wall comments.
And they let them go. Funny. They let them go because it's not like malicious.
You know who won the biggest from that show with Final Four and Indy was Harry and Izzy's. Like, didn't they shoot that show with Harry and Izzy's right in the backdrop? Yeah. Like when they were on Georgia Street.
Free marketing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, iconic. You can't like the entire world. I feel like every time
Elmo wins too. Everyone descends upon that restaurant.
Every time Indy hosts, like St. Elmo, just free pub. Like it's like the place to be.
Dude, search volume of what is in shrimp cocktail has to just go through the roof.
You want to hear a funny story about that shrimp cocktail? So I'm a freshman at Purdue, and I have no idea what St. Elmo's is, right? I grew up in Indiana, so for me, it was the first time we went. And we get there. This is a tradition we always had. We'd always go, when we had a game in Indy, we'd always go to St. Elmo. And we're in a private room, and one of the seniors goes, "Hey, Matt, you should take double of the shrimp cocktail on your, it's just so good. You have no idea. You need to try this out." And me being this naive freshman, I'm like, sure.
Yeah. Whatever you say.
You're really going to let me have extra?
Yeah.
Like, thanks, man.
I took a bite, and I think I literally almost fell to the ground. Yeah. Like, it cleared out my sinuses, all the things.
Because if you go in aggressive and not knowing, I mean, it will eat
you alive.
When you can fully get someone that has no idea what's coming, it is
just aggressive bite.
It is so great.
It is.
Because a lot of people like know that it's going to be spicy, so they brace themselves.
Right.
But if you can truly get someone that's like, oh, like why would shrimp cocktail be what they're known for? And they just like take a huge bite and you're like, got him.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, I'm happy we set the table with sports broadcasting there, but let's put it to use. Okay. We talked about this last time. We forecasted kind of what Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn, where they would go.
Yep.
And we'll get to them in a second, but just overall impressions of the NBA draft. I know the top 5 was a huge point of conversation. Debanza goes number 1. Interested in how he fits in Washington, and the rest kind of falling into place. But what was your kind of biggest takeaway as a viewer of the NBA draft? It feels like, Peterson going too kind of shocked me. For instance, I know he's very talented, but the fit is interesting, and his off the court stuff very interesting. But what'd you make of the whole thing?
I actually thought there weren't that many surprises. I thought the top 3 was exactly what we thought it would be. You may have argued that Peterson would go number 1,
right?
That kind of thing, but it wasn't a surprise as to who the top 3 were. I think time will tell what the draft will be. Right now, drafts are oftentimes graded in retrospect, right?
Right.
In the moment, we're always talking about how incredible the draft class is and how it's going to go far and all that, but time will tell.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes the draft is graded not just in the 1 through 13, but how the guys after that do. And I think that it'll be interesting to see who the surprise is out of this draft beyond the top guys that we've been talking about. I'm curious to see how Caleb Wilson does with Chicago.
Yeah.
And I've seen some clips of him in practice already. He looks very, very good. Peterson already had 28. And
of course he did.
Yeah, in the summer league. So I think that it will be interesting. And it's interesting, too. I'm curious to see what you guys think. But when you think about top picks in the draft, I don't know if I would want to be the number 1 draft pick in the draft, because oftentimes those guys, there's a lot of burden that comes with it.
Yeah.
Are you going to live up to that? And so some guys can handle it, others can't.
Right.
And if you don't live up to the hype, it can oftentimes feel like that's all you talk about when you talk about a player, right? So I think that will be interesting to see where all this goes for this draft class. But I think that the top 3 will end up having great NBA careers.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I think that they have the talent and the skill set for this kind. Their way of playing will translate very well in the NBA. Yeah. And I think Peterson has all these comparisons depending on who you talk to. Some people say, "Oh, he's the next Kobe Bryant," which I think is time will tell.
Maybe by skill set, but maybe not by mindset.
Or very well put, or work ethic, right? And time will tell. But I think we're having those kinds of conversations of talent levels.
Right.
When you look at AJ DeBanza and his upside. He's a massive, massive talent, not only in size. I mean, he's, 6'9", 6'10"?
Yeah.
Some people may even say a little taller. So his ability to get to the rim. And then Cameron Boozer, what's interesting for me is that he's got the size, but he's a little bit less athletic.
Right.
And
is he going to be your MVP of the NBA? I don't think so. I think Darren Peterson, AJ DeBanza have that upside. I don't think Cameron Boozer can be the best player on your team and you win an NBA championship. How about that? Yeah.
Okay, here's a question for you. I want to do a little thought experiment. You're talking about how you don't want to be number 1. I might argue you don't want to be 1, 2, or 3. If you think about the top 5 players in the NBA right now, would you say, again, this is like a quick Google, but like SGA, Wembanyama, Jokic, yeah, Doncic, and Giannis.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, go back to that list for me.
Yeah.
How many of those are actually foreigners?
4 of them, right? Or all of them?
Is SGA?
SGA is not.
He's not.
But the other 4 are all foreigners?
Yeah.
Look at you guys. Yeah. Come on now.
We talked about that last time. How that's taken over, man.
But 4 out of 5. So obviously, Wemby, number 1 overall pick.
Right.
But the other 4, not number 1 overall picks.
In fact, if I am remembering this correct, were any of them, I think all of them were outside the top 10, maybe? You might have to check me on that. But
yeah.
I know.
No. Luka. Luka was 3rd.
Oh, Luka was 3rd.
Luka was 3rd.
Trey
Luka was
Young
3rd.
And Luka.
So
but
he's
Jokic
3rd.
and Giannis for sure were outside the top 10.
Giannis? When do you think that Giannis was? What draft round? What pick? Don't Google it.
I didn't. I believe it's 13th.
Wow.
15th.
15th.
That was close.
Okay.
15th. When do you think that Jokic was drafted?
I'm pretty sure he was a second rounder, wasn't he?
Dude, yes, 41st.
That's crazy.
And then when do you think SGA?
That feels like a 14-15 situation.
11.
11. Okay.
So it's like you don't know. It's like top 3 guys. You never know if they're gonna.
Well, Donovan Mitchell, another one that wasn't this crazy high pick.
Well, and that goes to show you so much of what sports and basketball is. It's about a fit into the system,
right?
And we can talk about Braden Smith when we talk about
you
this.
Took
is
the words
exactly
out of my mouth.
what we're talking about.
Tyrese, what
Tyrese was a 13th or 12th pick. Yeah,
like come on, it just goes to show. Yes, you're gonna have like the Wembys, and you're gonna have Luka
or LeBrons.
Like,
I mean, you have those kinds of guys, but after that, it really turns into a fit. It turns into the system. It turns into who can stay injury free.
Right, that's such a big thing. I mean, Joel Embiid, great player, can't stay healthy, right? And you talk about having the number 1 pick, a lot of pressure not only on the guy but the team. Sometimes they overthink it. Like, let's talk about the Cavs drafting Anthony Bennett first overall. That was just a disaster. Like, never should have happened.
Well, here's the thing, too. Let's talk about Cooper Flag for a second. Right?
Yeah.
So here we have a guy who's arguably a generational talent, and in a different kind of way than LeBron was. Yeah. But he was expected to come in and do things that, at his age, he was very, very young when he got drafted. At his age, he's expected to perform against guys who are much older, much more experienced. And it goes to prove how incredible he is because of how well he did.
Because he did, how well he performed. He basically did it.
But here's the thing, is that unless you are like a LeBron James body type, because he was mature in body and mind beyond his years, you're asking a very young player to come in. Because the NBA is, when you get drafted these days, you're very young. Back when, 20 years ago, you're getting drafted as a junior and a senior.
Yeah.
Where now we're talking about guys who would have skipped college if they could. So here we're talking about very young guys who are expected to come in and take over.
Yeah.
Like 19 years old. Like, how old was Cooper Flag when he was drafted?
People forget he reclassified actually to get to Duke quicker. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure 18 on the dot.
I think he was 18.
So he's 18. Like, your star player, generational talent, is probably going home and like keeping his snap streaks alive.
Yeah,
like he's like worried about, like, you've got LeBron raising a family with kids,
right?
And it's like he gets home from the game and is like, oh yeah, like hitting his, like, got to keep his streaks going.
That's such a good point you make too.
You know what I'm saying?
The expectations were so high for an 18-year-old, and the NBA drafts largely out of potential, but he was rare where he was very complete as a player, and that's what made him so attractive. Yeah. And he met all those. And Khan. What's his last name? Knipple or whatever for a Charlotte. I don't know if that's how you say it. Yeah. But he was unreal too. It's crazy that Duke didn't win a national championship with those two. But
and here's the other point that I think is important is that you look at guys like Steph Curry.
Yeah. Another 10th pick.
He had to prove himself over time to become what we know him as today. But it also had to do with these guys get drafted and they're just young guys.
Seventh.
He had to develop into the body that he now has.
Right.
When you actually go and watch Steph Curry in person, he's actually he's bigger than you think he is.
Yeah, he is.
But when he got drafted,
he's this small guy
in
comparison, right? Yeah.
But when he got drafted, he was very thin. And we viewed him as kind of, he almost looked like a little kid out there, right?
Yeah.
So
baby face too.
That's right, baby. So the point here is that these guys get drafted, and oftentimes they're projects that take multiple years for them to actually develop into the players that they have become, that we've known them to be. Yeah. So with that, I think that when you're in the top 3 draft picks and you have that massive set of expectations put on you, it takes time to develop into what you're supposed to. And and to have the mindset that we then attribute to the LeBrons that now what they have, right? It's a mental strength. When you talk about the NBA season, it's a marathon, 82 games, and that's just the regular season.
Yeah.
If you have, you'd include the training camp, preseason, and you make the postseason, that's an incredible toll on your body.
Crazy too, because the Pacers, I remember, started on April 10th, and their last game when they went to the finals, Game 7, was June 23rd. We're talking about 3 full months of extra basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just pretty crazy when you think about it.
And think about this. My college roommate was supposed to be an NFL player. And his body fell apart. He was a tight end. And he had so many concussions, he had to stop playing.
Oh, jeez.
And he sat down with his doctor once and he said, Doc, the hardest part for me is that when I look out and I watch football on Sunday, I know I'm just as good as those guys.
Yeah.
And the doctor said, he said, Mike, the difference is that their bodies were able to put up with it and yours wasn't.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the NBA, it's the same thing. LeBron, look at the longevity of that body.
Well, just the investment into his body.
The investment.
He makes, right?
I mean, look at what happened to guys like Kobe. where his body put up with him, and all of a sudden one day that Achilles snaps.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was a very tough path forward. So a lot of these guys, it's not just the talent, it's how long your body can actually withstand the pounding.
And Tom Brady, I mean, he's known for the TB12 diet and played into his 40s, whereas there was a steep cliff for guys like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, just kind of felt unbelievable careers, but just they reached a wall. And Eli Manning too. Just kind of fell off there. But yeah, this is really interesting.
Dude, it is wild, like the cliff. It's like you can be at the pinnacle, and then like 1 year, it's like, oh shit, I don't have any more.
Peyton Manning was unreal with the Broncos, and then just wasn't really. Just kind of fell.
Yeah,
It's we don't appreciate what LeBron is doing, just how incredible it is.
100%. Like even if you don't like him or his antics or whatever, like you cannot not be impressed.
Dude, I think he's going to have a Tom Brady-esque character arc after he retires,
I do too. I think,
Tom Brady, he did not have a personality. I felt like he was horrible, and I did not like him. He gets, even I think when he got to the Bucks, and he kind of like started to be a little more public facing and open.
Well, he was
and you're like
hammered after they won the Super Bowl. I think that really brought people around.
When he threw the trophy.
Threw the thing, and then it's like getting carried off.
That was the first moment, and I was like, oh, he's one of us.
Yeah,
come on now.
But here's what's interesting. Let's go back to the broadcasting piece. We talk about a guy who was everything we can imagine when you think about a prototypical NFL quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And we also forget, by the way, he was not the top draft pick. He was a guy who had to develop as well.
7th, 6th round, 7th round. Yeah.
So you're talking about guys who, over time, what comes out is the mental strength, the work ethic. Those are complementary to the talent already there. But when you think about who he became after when he retired, it goes to show you that broadcasting, circling back, is not as easy as you think it is. He had to train and had to get better.
Yeah.
People were not pleased with him at first.
In the beginning, it was almost awkward, right?
And
now he's very good. So it goes to show you.
Yeah, it's credit to him, too, for keeping to work at it. Because, and, it's Tom Brady, so of course he is good at work at it.
I feel like we could talk all day long about different stuff like that, but I know there are some other interesting topics that Dom wants to get into.
Yes, that's true.
What are we doing now, Dom? What are we doing?
Okay, so Braden Smith, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Drafted 38th overall, traded to the Pacers. What do you make of Braden Smith's fit with the Indiana Pacers? It feels like this is going to set him up better than a lot of other places would.
Well, I think the first part is that he gets to come home. So there's going to be a very forgiving crowd, and a crowd that's going to be behind them the whole time, which is good.
Bro, he's going to single-handedly sell out the Noblesville Arena. You know,
seriously,
like all of a sudden you go from it's like a fun family event, and now you're watching Braden Smith play. Like the town of Noblesville has to be absolutely ecstatic, like pumped up. For sure, right?
Yeah, like, and people, I think, have this confusion where, and we got a lot of comments on our video we were talking about Braden Smith, where I do believe at some point in his career, he can be a rotational NBA player, depending on if he's going to be a pest like TJ McConnell and just focus all his energy on being able to guard at the NBA level. But don't misconstrue what we're saying. I don't believe it's going to happen in 1 to 2 years. Like, he's going to have to do his time in the G League, and the Pacers are in a championship window. Like, they're not going to do him any favors here just because he's from Indiana, right? He's got to earn it.
Yeah, I think one thing that right now everyone's saying is maybe he'll be the sixth man. Maybe he'll take that spot from TJ McConnell. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. He needs to go in there and learn from someone like TJ McConnell.
Yes.
Actually, TJ McConnell has actually proven that there's a path forward for someone like Braden Smith.
He said before he's just going to outwork people. He's going to get in your grill. He's going to annoy you. And like he told himself, he's going to be the hardest working person on the floor.
Yeah, I think what Smith right now needs to go in with the mentality of I'm going to learn and I'm going to find my spots as they come.
Yeah.
So McConnell was able to prove that the mentality, if you have it, and the strength of you being able to overcome let's say it, being undersized and not being as talented as maybe some of these other guys when it comes to the skill sets that we now attribute to the greatest NBA players. But I think that with him, the biggest thing that's going to be the question mark right now is not whether or not he's an elite passer. That's obvious. It's about whether or not he's going to be able to defend at the highest level.
Yeah.
That's always going to be the question mark at his size, and whether or not he's going to be able to knock down that open shot. Because when you've got guys like Halliburton and other guys on that team, he does not need to go in there and be better than those guys. He needs to go in there and actually distribute the ball well to them, set them up, and then when he gets open, knock down that shot.
Yeah.
He's actually a better shooter coming into the league than McConnell was.
100% agree. Yes.
So I think that he needs to just fit in well with the system, allow the game to come to him, and not need to go in there saying, I need to become TJ McConnell and win that spot, but be patient with myself. And I think that's the team to do it because he's such a hometown hero that they will give him that time to be able to grow
Dude,
into that.
I think that he has a chance to win most G League jerseys sold. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Like, I don't know what the stat is for that, but like, I gotta imagine there's going to be a lot of Braden Smith Noblesville Boom jerseys sold.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'll take one. I will rep it with pride.
And to your point, he has the mindset to do exactly what you're saying. He's been the most shown the most humility on every team he's on, and he is pass first. And I think you're absolutely
he's a high IQ guy.
Exactly. He everything you're saying. Like I know Braden Smith knows that this is going to be a process for sure.
I do also want to say, if we go back and check the tape, who is the idiot that said, "Why is Braden Smith and TKR working out with the Pacers? They don't even have a first round pick." Like that guy was dumb.
Would that be you?
that was me. Guilty.
Well, so fun fact too. So Chad Buchanan, Pacers GM, lives in Westfield, and his son played AAU basketball with Braden Smith, and Ryan Carr, who used to be in the front office at the Pacers as well, now is the general manager of IU basketball. His son played with Braden Smith. So family friends there. I don't know if that had everything to do with it, but it certainly didn't hurt, I don't think.
I mean, dude, it always
and if you
comes
have
down.
you didn't have a pick anyway. Do I think Braden Smith is better than Cam Jones? Yes, I do. So I don't think it was a problem at all for you to trade and come here. And you're giving Braden Smith the best chance to succeed in the NBA. So I
just keep going back to, I want to study the economic impact of this Pacers draft pick for the town of Noblesville.
Yeah.
Like, I really think that he will sell.
He's right there. He's going to have a fan club. And you're absolutely right. What's the average attendance for Noblesville Boom? And we can track that.
Well, but here's the thing I would say about Braden Smith. He does not look like an NBA player walking through an airport. Once he crosses that line, he solves problems.
Yes.
And I think that the future of the NBA is, can you fit in with an elite skill and solve problems for a team that you're coming and playing for?
Yeah.
That is the question mark. And so think about the guys that we just named off, right? The top NBA players that we were talking about, right? When you talk about Doncic and you're talking about the Joker and Luka and Wemby, a lot of these guys, Wemby aside, who's kind of this, we call him, an
alien.
Yeah, the alien. But these other guys are not elite athletes.
Right.
When you look at Luka and the Joker, I mean, in fact, they were kind of made fun of for not being, right? But what they do is they go out there and they're incredible at solving the problem that they've been assigned to solve. And I think Braden Smith, from a different angle, because he's not an elite scorer like those other two are, but he is an elite passer, an elite guy who can find guys to put them in the right spot to make them better. That's what he did at Purdue.
Yeah.
Those guys who he was surrounded by are good players. And in fact, look at TKR and Fletcher and Clough, they all have a chance at the next level.
TKR's getting drafted. I mean,
and Zach Edey became the player he is because he's Zach Edey, but he's also the player he is because of Braden Smith.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what he has to offer to these different teams. And I think in time, that's what he will prove. And that's why I believe he will have a long career. Will he ever be the greatest player in the NBA? Well, of course not. But that's not what every player in the NBA has to be. We forget about the fact that there are 15 guys, give or take, on those rosters. And that what needs to happen is that every guy plays a role, and I think he will find that for himself.
Yeah, I think those type of skills travel no matter what, right? All right, TKR drafted. You called it. I wasn't so confident. I think Mr. Nate Spangle called it as well.
This side of the room, pro TKR.
Yeah. Whoa. I'm pro TKR.
Come on, Sellersburg.
Right? So 2 Indiana kids. But, I mean, is it a stretch to believe? The undersized thing, the skill set thing, it's hard for me to get past, but the work ethic is obviously there, and he's a really good finisher around the basket. He plays bigger than what he is. Is it realistic to think Trey Kaufman-Renn can be a rotational player in the NBA?
Well, I think at one point I compared him to Malone. I think that's a little bit of an aggressive comparison. Karl Malone is such a generational talent when he was in the league, and such a physical specimen as well. I think what's going to be important for TKR is, first of all, he's an old school player.
Yeah.
And the problem is that he's not a great leaper, and he needs to develop an outside shot. Yeah. So if he can knock down a three reliably and continue to use his body the way he does, in my opinion, he's the kind of guy that can be one of those guys who fills that role on a team where he goes in there and he's reliable. He finishes around the rim, he rebounds, he defends, and he's a pest, right? He plays so hard. And you need him to go in there for 10 minutes a game. He's that second rotation guy.
Almost like a Jeff Foster.
Jeff Foster's
Tyler
a great comparison.
Hansbrough type. Right? Right?
Yep.
I'm kind of getting that sense from him because he's undersized.
He's got great footwork. He's got a nice touch around the rim. He's got that nice little hook shot that he can knock down. It's kind of that unusual shot.
Push shot.
Push shot. But I think that if he is able to have a great summer, and I'm sure he'll probably spend some time in the G League. So if he can prove himself there, then I think that there is a spot for him. But guys like that seem to always find a spot, right? You can't have a team full of all-stars in the sense that, your top 3-4 guys can be that. But then after that, you also need guys who can come in and be reliable and do what they need to do. And guys make careers out of, I'm talking 10-year careers of just being good teammates, showing up on time, rebounding, knocking down the open shot, not getting in trouble, being a leader in the weight room. Teams fans really underestimate how much teams need that, because you can't just have a guy, you can't have 5 LeBrons on a team and hope that you don't have also other players that fill in the gaps.
Dude, that's half the battle, and I think that Purdue does a good job. It's like you don't largely these days hear about off the court antics,
right? Yeah.
Where it's like, you talk about like Georgia football, and it's like every other week it's like speeding, reckless driving, DUI, whatever it might be, and a little bit of it's like, okay, you have experience getting paid. Like, I don't know what we talked about Braden Smith last time, but TKR for sure getting NIL, probably a decent handsome sum, and being good stewards of that, being responsible in the spotlight, like knowing that, like a little bit is keep your nose clean and just be a good like,
I think that
locker room guy.
That improves your draft stock, right? Yeah. Just being a good teammate, a good person, someone they know they're not going to have to worry about.
And there are guys in the NBA that we see it more at the guard level, but who have had long careers, just being great defenders, right? The guys who will make it a real headache for you to bring up the ball. And this players like that I think TKR can become that from a power forward standpoint, where he does not need to carry the burden of scoring, but he needs to come in and be the guy who will be a pest for 5 minutes and just guard the heck out of a power forward on the other team and get that other guy in foul trouble, or has fouls to give himself. And if he gets fouled, will knock down the free throw. Those kinds of things are not talked about enough. We talk about all the star players, but no one talks about the supporting cast.
Right.
There's no spot in the stat book for being a pest, like minutes of effort given.
How
many times Fletcher Lawyer hits the deck?
What's his name? Alvarado for the Knicks, or he went to Georgia Tech. I can't think of his name. Jose Alvarado or something like that.
But we forget about guys
he's
like,
a pest too. He picks you up 94 feet.
But, if you want to go back in time, you can look at guys like Matt Harpering and guys like that who just made a living off of, you talked about Hansbrough.
Yeah.
Hansbrough is actually shorter than I am. I'm 6'8".
Yeah.
He's probably about 6'7" in person. I've met him a couple of times. Yeah. And he's not the biggest guy out there, but he had a great career of just being a guy who will outwork you and do the things that no one else wants to do. And that there is a need for that. I think about someone like Schroeder in the NBA at a guard level, right? Who just has been an incredible player for the teams he's on, because of course he can score, but he's just solid out there.
Yeah.
And we need guys like that in the pros. And so I think that TKR can become that. And from a guard level, although from a little bit of a different standpoint, Braden Smith, I think, will become that same thing. Just reliable.
Yeah.
He'll go out there, do his job. Get the guy. Actually, you know what? I think Braden Smith would have been a great fit in a place like Boston.
Yeah, agree. I think we had said that. I totally agree with that.
Just where he's got a great cast of guys, he just needs to distribute.
Yep.
I think he would have been great in a place like that. So these guys, it goes back to the system that you're on or in and becoming or being a part of. And I think that that's what these guys have a chance to do is, and also if you want to return to what these college programs are, what this proves is that Purdue has a great, what I would call development program, where you have guys who came in, and we forget TKR was a top recruit. His other choices were places like North Carolina, by the way. So it's not like he was some guy who was unknown, but he came in and proved that Purdue will develop you into something that is maybe beyond even what everybody thought initially you could be.
Yeah.
And this is why I think Braden Smith will be a great player in the NBA, because at every level he's been at, he has been proving people wrong.
Right.
At Westfield, and
There's something to be said about that, right?
and just having that mentality and then proving that it's not just proving people wrong. He became the all-time assist leader in college basketball.
Right.
So it's not just the fact that we're sitting here saying, well, Braden's good, he's a great passer. No, he is the best passer statistically in the history of the NCAA.
Right.
So he didn't just prove people wrong. He set records along the way.
Yeah.
He was an All-American along the way. He was in a Final Four along the way. So he knows what it means to be in high-pressure situations, to play hard, to play through it, to have hard times. Because it wasn't like – there were times this year where he had some bad games.
Yeah.
And he came back and played better and got through it. So he knows what it means to overcome those things. I think that is what is going to make him a good pro. You know, time will tell how much and how long he's in there, because I think size will play a factor, but I think he will be a good pro.
I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, on the topic of college to pro, I want to touch on this quickly because I think we almost saw it with Dan Hurley, but then it just kind of fizzled out. But this is the first time in a long time, I would say, a college coach has made the jump to the NBA. Kind of a shocker. Dusty May, the Indiana alum, Eastern Green kid, just won a national championship at Michigan just after 2 years there. I mean, think about this, and I want to say a 4-year time span. He went from Florida Atlantic, leading them to a Final Four, to winning a national championship at Michigan, to now taking the head coaching job of the Dallas Mavericks with Cooper Flagg.
Life comes at you fast.
Life comes at you fast when you're successful. I think he's under 50 years old as well.
Just a kid from Greene County, baby.
I like this a lot, actually, especially with Cooper Flagg being your main piece.
Yeah.
What do you make of Dusty May, and how successful will he be in the NBA?
Well, let's look at some past coaches. We look at someone like Calipari. We look at someone like Brad Stevens, Billy Donovan.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because not every coach that goes to the NBA translates. And in my opinion, it translates even worse when you go from the NBA to college, right? We just saw that with IU and Woodson. What a big challenge that ended up being. But I think that for someone like Dusty May, what I think is actually the greatest proving point of how well he will do in the NBA, his starting five, and arguably the backups shortly thereafter, the 6th and 7th, maybe even 8th man, all those guys are pros, and he was dealing with personalities already.
Yeah.
So look at how well Krzyzewski, even though he never went to the NBA full time, he was very good with those USA teams.
Yes, he was.
Because he knew what it meant and what it looked like to coach NBA players day in and day out at the college level, and that translated well. Because when you look at what the NBA coaching style is, yes, it's X's and O's. It's a different kind of X's and O's. But a lot of it is managing personalities,
right,
and understanding how to get guys to fit in to your squad.
Roster management. Basically, NIL has made college basketball that.
It's made it that.
Right?
And at the highest level, the Dukes, the Michigans, and all these teams that do really well year in and year out and attract those players, your coaching staff becomes a pseudo NBA staff, where you are literally managing expectations of playing time. You're managing expectations of scoring, and of who's getting this and that, and who's going to be able to go out there and succeed. I mean, when you look at Michigan, they had all these guys who were incredible ball players getting drafted, very highly.
He drafted his own player.
He drafted his own player.
Morez Johnson Jr., so that was really interesting.
And so you look at these guys and you sit back, and by the way, one of the games I went to this year was Purdue, Michigan. And I remember I'm sitting there, I'm hard to impress these days, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with my kids, and Yaxel takes off his warm-up, and I swear to you, I looked at my son who's 12, and I just went, oh my God. Because
he's huge.
He looks like a test tube baby.
Right? Yeah.
He looks like something that if I had an action figure and I had a box of an action figure, I'd take it out, I'd rip it out, but and like take him out of the box, and you sit there. So the point being, though, is he's used to coaching guys at that level and managing those different personalities. I think that will translate well at the next level. So I think he's going to do great. It doesn't always work out for these coaches.
Right.
Just like it's no different than, think about some of these coaches that go from a smaller program and then all of a sudden go to the bigger one. Mm-hmm. It works out for guys like at IU, right, where they were able to take the program to what it was, the national championship,
right,
but for football. But it doesn't always translate. I think about Shaka Smart and what he did at VCU. And here's the nuance. You talk to people behind the scenes, and they'll tell you that Shaka Smart, one of the greatest strengths he had at VCU was that he was really good at being almost like a father figure to those guys.
Yeah.
Where it was like those guys would run through a wall for him. And then he went to places like Texas and other parts of college basketball. And it hasn't quite translated. It doesn't make him a bad coach.
Right, yeah.
But the kind of player you're recruiting is different. They're not necessarily going to be the guys that are looking for that same kind of relationship. It's a little bit more transactional. And so when you think about guys going from college to the NBA, you're thinking about similarities of how is their coaching style translating. And I think that's why we'll see him do well going from Michigan over to the NBA.
Yeah, I really do think it's going to be good for them. And I think there's something to be said of like, will we see this more? Because being a college athletics head coach in any sport is so exhausting, because I think he was on a podcast or on some show saying, he wins the national championship, and that night he's talking to recruits.
That's right.
That next day he's worried about his roster for next season.
In fact, you could argue that is the best time to be calling those recruits.
Yeah, right.
I just won the national championship. Come on, baby.
Come on over. And if he doesn't, the time is now for Dusty May. What's the downside? You're going to the highest level of basketball. Right. If you don't succeed, you will be welcomed back with open arms to college basketball.
This is it. This was the best take that I've seen on this, is how Dusty May gets to Indiana without burning bridges in Michigan.
See, I like this.
And
yes.
the only way you could do it, you can't leave. You either have to spend the rest of your days with Michigan until the wheels fall off, or going up, hey, I got you a national championship. I'm going to go to the NBA. It works out. It doesn't work out. You have time. Then IU job opens up. He's like, you know what? I had fun, but I want to get back to my alma mater. Boom.
And I want to get back in the Big Ten.
Yeah. And that's the only way that Dusty May could go to IU and not be hated in the Mitten State.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And IU should be, look, I like Darren DeVries. Okay, just want to say that outright. Hope he's successful. We'll see if that happens. But IU completely missed their chance at Dusty May. I mean, it was slam dunk, home run. Couldn't have been an easier come on down, welcome home. And they just missed on it. And seeing Michigan win a national championship had to be just excruciating for them.
Sick.
But I love this conspiracy tinfoil cap because it is very true. I mean, he's such a good basketball coach. I feel like he will succeed.
Well, but also what this proves, though, Dusty May, what he proves is that one thing is managing personalities. Another is having rapport with players.
Yeah.
Because at the NBA level, you hear this about certain teams where the rapport with the coach and the players isn't always there.
Right.
And so for you to be able to come in having coached the national championship gives you credibility.
Right.
Having all these guys on the team that were NBA players, there's some statistic out there. We'll have to look it up. There has never been a team that's won a national championship at the college level in basketball without at least two future NBA players.
Really?
And so he arguably had maybe 5, 6 on there, right? Or at least in time we'll see that.
I mean, geez, he had 3 or 4 in the first round.
Yeah. So what you're going to see though is that translating well into the next level. Where it wasn't some team that just exceeded expectations, right? He in fact met the expectations of what was expected for him to do, and did so at a very high level. They dominated, arguably, I think, better than any team in the NCAA that tournament, outside of maybe 1 or 2 games where it got close at one point. But I mean, they clearly were the favorite and the best team in that tournament. So
the way they dominated Arizona was eye-opening, because Arizona is really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
he had a great combination of height, of athleticism, of guys who could finish and then knock down the shot. And here's the other thing that he proved is that, one of the guards came from North Carolina over to Michigan.
Yeah.
And they had kind of written him off a little bit over at North Carolina, right? Comes to Michigan and does really, really well. And it goes to show you that he's able to not only coach players at an elite level, but he's also able to hone into what their talents and skill sets are and get them to perform and to believe in those guys to do what they need to do. It's a very important skill set. Calipari has it. Krzyzewski had it. The guys who understand, it's a different way of coaching. It's a different mentality, right? Painter is very different than a Dusty May, What he's trying to do at Purdue is very different.
Yeah.
And so what Shire is doing now at Duke and what that whole program has done under Krzyzewski, it's a very different model. It's a very different model than Izzo at Michigan State, right?
Yeah.
Izzo is more of a developmental guy. We're gonna invest in you, and you peek behind the curtain and see how he manages practice and manages his players. It's a very different model. And so I think all this will bode well for Dusty May.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that, because can the Tom Izzo, Matt Painter way still be successful? They are very consistently successful, but can they be successful in the way of national championships? When Dusty May comes in, buys a roster, basically. Yep. He's an elite level basketball coach, gets the pieces fit together. They lose 3 games all year. Yep. It's an interesting thing to, I would like to think that those coaches who really invest in you can still succeed. I think they can.
Yeah. Well, Hurley's another example, although his approach is very different. Yeah. But I think
agree.
it's an interesting question, and I think that time will tell. Izzo has won a national championship.
Right.
Purdue is not yet, but I think that it's proof of there's different approaches that are still successful.
Yeah.
But what it also proves is that you have to know who you are.
Yeah.
And you have to recruit the right players for your system. If Purdue starts recruiting guys that don't fit in and they become mercenaries, is Purdue as successful? Maybe, but I also think that Purdue knows who they are right now. Right. And a lot of these great coaches, they just know who they are and therefore recruit accordingly.
Yeah. All right, a couple more things for you, and then we'll get you out of here. I've loved this conversation, by the way, Matt. High-level stuff out of you, per usual. Let's stick on the hardwood, and we've talked about this off camera, and, this is something that everybody's talking about, but I would just love your opinion on this. As a viewer of sports, the explosion of popularity regarding the WNBA, regarding the Indiana Fever, regarding Caitlin Clark, never before seen, okay? And I think where I want to go with this is I'm just confused because to me, as a sports journalist, watching Caitlin Clark is unlike many other things I've seen in the women's game. The way she plays, the way she distributes, the way she lights it up from 3. Most women won't even consider taking a 40-footer. She hits 2 in one game that I watch. It's electric, and seeing the Fever Gainbridge Fieldhouse sell out to levels they've never seen before. Yep. And it just feels like there's a lot of resistance to this league-wide, in media circles, what have you. Because the second she came in the league, private flights happened, increased pay happened, increased viewership happens, expansion happens, and just so much more interest. And it just feels like embracing her is not happening. The opposite is happening, and what I can only describe as a version of jealousy that I just don't understand. What is your opinion on Caitlin Clark as such a polarizing figure here?
Well, the WNBA is an intriguing ecosystem and universe. And when you think
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. And so it's hard to sit back and understand what's happening and what we're watching unfold in front of us, because it's not just about. So I just looked it up. She is selling the second most amount of jerseys, second only to Steph Curry right now.
Wow.
And so,
how about that?
Yeah. And
more than LeBron.
Braden Smith will be there soon.
LeBron is 3.
Yeah.
There are more Caitlin Clark jerseys being sold than LeBron James.
I was in Slovenia earlier this year, and I saw a Caitlin Clark Fever jersey. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Well, I think when you look at Angel Reese, and I'm not going to sit here and analyze her game. It is what it is and who she is as a player. But she was on the cover of, what is it? The 2K.
The 30 or the 30th anniversary poster. Is this where we're going?
Well, that we can come back to that.
Okay.
But on the latest, Nintendo game or whatever it was, she was the cover of that. I think it was.
All right, okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer.
The latest Nintendo.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Yeah.
We gotta call a spade there.
Yeah. No, but I laugh because when you think about in all seriousness right now, I only bring her up because there's been sort of this rivalry going on,
fabricated animosity.
Yeah, I think that she would like it to be a rivalry. She would like it to be a rivalry.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, when you think about arenas have had to shift focus in terms of going to a bigger spot to be able to accommodate all the fans. I went to a game last year where people were holding up posters. I traveled from 3 states away just to see Caitlin Clark play. And then I got to watch her in person for the first time. First of all, she's taller than you think she is. Mm-hmm. She's an incredible passer. We forget about that. And in fact, some people would argue that she's a better passer than she is a scorer.
I would 100% agree.
And she's just an elite shooter and has a knack for the game, which makes her a very special, obviously generational talent. So this is not some fabricated advertising ploy of like, well, we're selling jerseys because fill in the blank.
Right.
It's because people are intrigued and fascinated by how good she actually is.
Right.
So when you go and watch her in person, watch her on TV, because she was making some shots when I was there I was thinking, man, I don't care who you are. If you're playing in your driveway, these are hard shots.
Like just even the to take those, the confidence to take those shots.
So,
crazy.
When you look at the ratings, the attendance, the merchandise, the proof is there that the fans want to see Caitlin Clark.
Right.
Because it's not just an Indiana thing. This is a nationwide phenomenon, right? So that is the thing. And when you think about the fact that she was, I think, ranked 11th by the players, 11th guard or something in the league, the data doesn't prove it. It doesn't prove it with the statistics. So
like, what other reason is there for that That's my whole point here. I don't understand what other reason you could say as her peers as to why that's happening, because in your heart of hearts that is not true.
Yeah. I think that we could have a long discussion about why, and we could be guessing all day long.
Right, yeah.
But I think there is a level of jealousy.
Yeah.
I think there's a level of, this is how I would view it. If someone's better than you, the way you do it as an athlete is you go out and compete and outcompete that person, right? You don't go out there, and right now there are games where she is almost, they've been trying to hurt her, it seems.
It seems intentional.
And it seems intentional.
I can't speak to intent, but like that's the way it is coming across.
Yeah, it comes across, look, we don't know what these people are feeling, but it comes across as jealousy.
Yeah.
It comes across as something like, this is not what we envisioned the star player of our league to be.
Well,
and therefore,
but how long have you been wanting this?
Yeah.
But it seems like you don't like the way it was achieved, and I don't get that.
It's unfortunate. I think when you look at certain players throughout history that have eventually become the face of their league, they start out as being disrespected, of being bullied a little bit, on the court or on the football field or whatever the case might be. And a lot of the guys who are the veterans are threatened by this, right? You're taking away what they believe to be their league and what they've created.
Right.
And I think there's a little bit of those nuances going on. But I think with time, if she can stay healthy, and if the WNBA is able to make sure that there are true consequences for any player doing what they've done to her, but especially her, because you're protecting the talent, the generational talent of what she is, then I think eventually when she gets through this period, I think we'll look back on this and kind of think how silly this was, because she will then become someone that everyone respects and wants to see.
I like that.
Dude, I see the...
Yes, I want to know your perspective of this.
Well, one, I was looking at like the commissioner's side of it, where it feels like the
quiet
commissioner
as a church mouse
doesn't have Caitlin Clark's back, but also put yourself in those shoes. Yeah. It's like, well, one, if you lean all the way in, you're going to have a ton of other ticked off players being like, why haven't you given me this love? Why haven't you taken care of me like this?
You're
like
paid to make those decisions.
Everyone's worried about me. Whenever you point a finger, there's always 3 of them pointing right back at you.
But here's an important piece to this. Think about this. She did not create the WNBA, but she's accelerated the viewership. That's what I mean. And the notoriety.
Yeah.
And I think that the next step for the WNBA is to embrace this and to say, look, we need to make sure she is the face. That's what I would do. I mean, then because she has already accelerated the interest in the sport.
I mean, I've told this story a few times, but let's take it back. Dom and I are longtime fans of the WNBA.
Oh yeah,
we were at the finals.
You better believe it.
2015.
We were at the WNBA finals. The Minnesota Lynx, Indiana Fever.
The tickets were free. They could not give away tickets to the WNBA championship a decade ago. We literally did. We went as a favor.
That is correct.
Like we took
we were what, front row too. I'm sorry, you and Zach were. We forgot about that. Yeah.
Dom gets us 8 tickets. We have 10 friends.
Yeah.
He gets us 8 tickets in the front row, like courtside seats. Freddie Fever's there taking pictures. And then me and my other buddy, Zach, are up in the rafters of the WNBA finals. Again, all free tickets. They were giving these things away.
They used to curtain off the third level of Gamebridge because they couldn't fill it. They used to have, like a bounce house, like a little play basketball court. 18 or 19 of the top 20 most viewed WNBA games include Caitlin Clark. They've had to move to bigger arenas in several different states. I don't know what else proof of concept you need.
This is you said, I think it's 19 out of 20.
I think it's
something
19
like
out
that.
of the top 20.
But are they all in the last few years?
I mean, it's since
right?
Caitlin Clark got into the league.
But they
got a new TV deal.
Yes.
Every single one of the Fever games are nationally broadcast. Every single one.
Yeah.
And which is interesting because if you look at the NBA, I'm brought up there talking about NBA finals ratings viewership. Like the pinnacle of the NBA was Jordan 1998.
Yeah.
It was looking here, viewership 29 million people watching that. And then it's been if you look at the graph, we'll put it in the show notes there.
Wow.
But it just plateaued after Jordan. Or
that's
nosedive.
super interesting.
And they're still trying to build back to the pre-Jordan era.
Yeah.
And so you talk about the NBA obviously is, more popular, but if you have momentum on the WNBA side, you need to just do whatever you can to capture that and keep going.
Just why even question it? Just whatever's working, go do it.
And also,
rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
It's just really
because it makes
confusing
people
to
talk
me.
about it.
Yeah.
If I was Angel Reese, I will play the heel all day long. Dude, lean into it.
And you know what? On this point, I do think there's some intent there, and I think it's very smart of her. All these players are leaning into the smart ones are leaning into this and accelerating their brands outside of basketball.
Yeah.
Sophie Cunningham comes to the Fever. Okay, she defends Caitlin Clark's honor. She tackles J.C. Shelton, I think is who it was, with the Connecticut Sun that one game.
And then now she's pointing.
And now she's got the
generational
meme with the point.
meme.
Unreal meme. She loved it, by the way. She was laughing about it. Her parents love it. She is salt of the earth human being, and this isn't a malicious, oh, look at Sophie, she's capitalizing on this. This is just a smart thing. She gained millions of followers overnight after that situation and thought to herself, okay, I'm going to start a podcast now with this massive following that I have.
Well, but
it's
I think
very successful.
Every superstar gets tested. Yeah. Jordan got tested when he got to the league, by the way. And when you look at these different athletes, it's just that her rise to the top was so fast.
Yeah.
Because she is such a talent that the league, I think, the players especially, these are leagues that are in large parts, I wouldn't say run by the players, but the players have a massive impact on how these leagues operate.
Star-driven.
And so they're star-driven. So I think for the old guard to see someone rise to the top so quickly, not just because of the fan reaction, but because she's also just so good at what she does. So the question, I think, for me is going to be, can she continue to adjust? Can the Fever adjust? Because the league is what it is right now. And if she adjusts accordingly, I do think that in time, the conversation will start to shift. Some of these players will start to retire that have been used to being the ones who command the most attention. And I think all these things will start to shift in time for her. But it's amazing when you look at the Fever, right? You've got Lexi Hull, you've got Sophie Cunningham, and then you've got Caitlin Clark, right? They are this amazing tree, and then you've got the other players too who are incredible, like Boston, et cetera.
Yeah.
But you have this incredible team that they look the part. They are competitors. I mean, Sophie Cunningham, she's a competitor.
Yeah.
That's what's so amazing, so great about it, is that she's not just a girl that's going to go out there and defend Caitlin Clark. She's actually a great three-point shooter.
Yep.
And she's just good at what she does.
Perfect off the bench.
Dude, and Aliyah Boston is really good.
Aliyah Boston has gotten better
Didn't we
and better.
have she was the first round pick. Wasn't it back to back? We had Aliyah Boston and then Caitlin Clark back-to-back years.
She was the first overall pick, rookie of the year. She's been an all-star. She's gotten better every year. Kelsey Mitchell is actually not arguably, I think she's the best scorer on this team.
Dom has been very adamant in saying that.
Yeah, dude, she's awesome. And 3 all-stars consecutive years for the first time in franchise history.
Yeah.
My whole point here to put a bow on this is just embrace it. Caitlin Clark is not the enemy here.
Yeah.
She's an incredibly humble person who is only fault is being too competitive. Maybe you can not like her antics. I've said this before, and you might be justified in saying that. She doesn't always handle herself great on the floor. Neither did LeBron. Nobody liked LeBron when he was coming up. But,
when he throws the powder.
Everyone had a problem with it and the decision and all this stuff.
And sometimes that takes time to catch up for the fans. The fans react differently than the players, and sometimes it takes time for the players to catch up to that. But here's the thing: when you think about Caitlin Clark, let's talk about why she sells jerseys. Let's talk about. I have a daughter who's about to turn 8. She loves Caitlin Clark, right? And it's one of these things where she is inspiring generations of women to go out there and play basketball who otherwise may have played a different sport. And so that is important also.
And boys. There's little boys with Caitlin Clark jerseys.
We'll see the impacts of this in 15 years.
I want to put a bow on it also, Dom.
Please,
we're gonna double wrap this thing, double bow. We want to standing invitation, Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell,
Lexi Hull.
I mean, honestly, 17th player. I don't know if they roster 17.
Ty Harris. Get Ty Harris on
any
here.
Fever player.
Well, their coach played basketball at Purdue.
Yeah, that's right. Stephanie White, national champion,
also
I believe.
We will take anyone. Freddie Fever, you want to come in the studio? Open invitation. We'd love to chat it up. We'd love to learn a little bit about what life's like on the inside.
Absolutely.
Because from the outside looking in, it's easy to see the clips, the TikTok, this, but what's it like to be in the organization that is literally on a rocket ship going from free tickets a decade ago to selling out the biggest arenas, 19 of the 20 most televised, most watched games? I'd love to hear about the inner work.
Aliyah Boston has a podcast with Candace Parker, too. These women are doing it right.
By the way, full circle here. Candace Parker is one of the great broadcasters in basketball.
She is awesome.
She is extremely gifted.
So well spoken, right?
She is very well spoken, knows the game, and man, is she good. When we talk about broadcasters that I would listen to all day, she is one of them. She is very gifted. But I would say this, you could put a bow on this as well.
Triple wrap.
Triple wrap. Caitlin Clark is the engine, not only for the WNBA, in my opinion, but also, of course, for the Fever. But Sophie Cunningham has become the emotional spark. Yeah. And I think that is what we love watching the Fever for, is that you have these kind of the star player with these supporting roles that just make it so good to watch. And this is another example of how basketball functions, right? Where you can't have 5 Caitlin Clarks. You could, but it'd be difficult. So you have all these other players that can go in there and do what their roles are and make it work. And I think that, like you said, you give it a few years, I think we're going to look at this very differently. Yeah. And I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, no question about it. And you would be shocked how many people have season tickets from out of state. Yeah. It's something I've learned as well. So we'll see what the Fever can do. They're super, super interesting. All right, I want to end on this because we just got to talk about it. Then we'll get you out of here because this has been a great conversation. But you grew up in Latin America. I would love to know where you grew up, how long you were there, educate us on how that was, and because I think this lends itself nicely to soccer being such a big thing down there. But that's such a unique part of you that I'd love to explore.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I actually grew up in Guatemala City.
Okay.
So for the first 14 years of my life, we lived in Guatemala City. So for those of you who need a geography lesson, it's Canada, the United States, Mexico, then Guatemala.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's where it is geographically. My dad's half Guatemalan, and he was down there for work. And so we were down there for a big portion of me growing up. But so I fell in love with soccer down there because that's what you do down there. You play soccer or baseball.
You had to look like a menace on a soccer pitch.
That's a massive guy. Yeah. That's right. But I actually grew up playing baseball, but being a massive soccer fan. And the World Cup was always the biggest thing on our calendars every 4 years. We could not wait until the World Cup came about. And so now it's just fun to see the World Cup and to experience it again. It's unfortunate that the U.S. lost to Belgium the way they did.
Tough end.
Tough end.
Yeah. That was ugly.
But it's the most viewed sport in the world.
Yeah.
It's, especially the World Cup. I can't remember how many people were watching the first game and will end up watching the final. I think it's in the billions, no joke. When you look at the scenes of Mexico City when they were playing and how they were everywhere along the streets, it was so cool to see the row for the Vikings, for Norway.
Or the Netherlands dance.
The Netherlands dance.
Tartan Army taking over Boston.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
Wholesome, right?
It's so wholesome, so special. It brings the world together in a way that a few other things do.
Sports.
It's just sports, right? When you
Yeah, I
see
will say it is almost like soccer fans are some of like the coolest. They're just like you're bringing your drum into the game.
That's right.
Like imagine going into Lucas Oil for a Colts game and bringing your like your drum. That's
because
crazy.
there's so few goals, because every possession matters. Because that stuff, did not expect to love it as much as I have. I mean, every single day I have it on.
And every game has been so exciting.
So good.
So
every
good.
game, even like 0-0 Colombia, Switzerland just the other day.
Yeah.
PKs, but like electric. And like they're so crushed. Like you have the continent. You're like South America versus Europe. Like it's just
It's amazing.
Awesome.
And then to have teams like Morocco do so well.
Yeah, Africa. Yeah.
I mean, just to see these teams, Egypt, you know, who arguably they've got a pretty good argument for what happened against Argentina.
I saw that. Yeah.
But to see these nations that are, and to see these fans descend upon these different or I say arenas, now I'm talking about basketball, but to see these fields where, I mean, tens of thousands of people from all over the world have traveled to view these games. That's pretty special.
Yeah.
And you know what else is really cool, I think, that we should talk about is the fact that you have so many people that came to the U.S. and who have said, oh my gosh, growing up, I heard so many negative things about this country. And then here I am, and I get to experience it firsthand, and people are crying, or people are saying, wow, this is incredible. That's important, I think.
One of the
Very
best.
important.
Okay, that is so wholesome and kind. One of the best clips I saw was the guy who experiences Texas Roadhouse for the first time.
Yeah.
And he's just like, how could you be angry when you have Texas Roadhouse?
Yeah.
This bread, it's so delicious. It's like it's like better than Subway's. And I'm like, we're comparing the bread to like you're comparing the Texas Roadhouse rolls to Subway, and like that's blowing someone's mind. And it's like we take those things for granted all the time.
We do. We live in a great place, and like so much negative is broadcast, and what sport does is it brings out the positive. And you're absolutely right. Every single European who's come, or African who's come, or South American who's come, has said, we have been lied to. America is awesome.
That's
and
right.
you know why I think that is because they're experiencing not New York or LA or Miami.
Well, they are.
But like Kansas City or Boston or like these kind of not exactly touristy places you would think if you're a foreigner visiting. And you're seeing what America actually is. You're going to Buc-ee's. You're going to Wawa. Okay, you're experiencing ranch.
We're naming gas stations.
Yeah,
Is that where
that's what makes us great.
Yeah.
You're
Texas
experiencing
Roadhouse.
ranch, Texas Roadhouse, Chipotle.
Dude,
like,
the German guy who got in trouble for trying to smuggle back like a bottle of ranch.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Well, then you have Harland. I think I'm saying that right. Holland from Norway, who's live on his on his feed on Instagram, biting into these different foods he's trying and loving it. You know, so it's just been great. And the great story for me of the World Cup, we talked a little bit about this, has been Vocina from Cape Verde. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
But he's this 40-year-old guy who had something like 14,000 followers on Instagram before the tournament, and now he's got over 20 million. I mean, and he single-handedly captured just everyone's love for the game. And I love watching it. And the fact that he was a school bus driver, or a bus driver, I should say, an electrician back home, and now he's getting potentially contracts with Miami to go play with Messi.
Yeah.
That right there sums everything up.
That's crazy because they didn't win a game.
No, but they were the darlings of this tournament
darlings.
because of how small that nation is.
Yeah.
And it was the very first draw against Spain that everyone's like, whoa. Like Spain, huge favorite coming in.
That's right.
And, they drew 3 times, but then they took Argentina to the brink. I mean, like,
Dude, population 530,000.
That's incredible.
Did not win. I love the
stories.
That's just the internet, though.
Yeah.
Like, they literally did not win a game. I don't even know. Yeah, literally 3
draws and then 3-2 against Argentina in extra time, I believe.
Yeah.
So just electric stuff. And the World Cup, I did want to mention, I know it's not Indiana, but it's the whole world, right? Like, in the U.S. has been such an awesome host. And
it's been great.
We'll see what happens
it's
with
North
the World
America.
Cup.
North America.
I guess you're right. You got Vancouver and Toronto and Mexico City in there and everything.
It'll be fun to see who wins this. But and by the way, maybe we'll see a repeat from Argentina. That would be crazy.
I mean, it certainly seems to be rigged that way. Anyway,
on that note,
Matt, this has been awesome, man. Seriously, appreciate your conversation.
Of course,
I think
always.
a sports broadcasting future is definitely happening for
thanks.
you. So that's good. And hopefully Get In Sports has helped with this
absolutely.
venture, don't forget us when you're big and famous.
Oh,
all
stop.
right? So
This is also your reminder. Help us distribute the show to more people. 5 stars, preferably wherever you rate your podcast. Like, follow, subscribe, do all the things. Help Dom, help Get In Sports.
Yeah.
Go follow on Instagram, Twitter, the whole 9 yards. We would really appreciate an honest review. We're working on getting to, I believe, 25 is our next milestone we're looking to get to. So go on there, wherever you listen to. I'll let Dom give the outro here.
appreciate that. That's the founder of Get Indiana telling you that. So please listen. All right.
It's not my first rodeo.
For Matt Carroll, Nate Spangle, I'm Dom Miranda. This is Get In Sports. Thanks so much for listening. Great stuff talking ball. Keep watching, subscribe, like, follow. We'll see you next time. All right, great stuff from Matt Carroll. As always, first repeat guest here on Get In Sports. And I think that can maybe put a bow on basketball talk as we get closer and closer to football season, folks. It is upon us. It is coming, and we have so much cool Colts content coming up, high school football content coming up, Notre Dame, IU, Purdue. We have a lot of really cool stuff in the works, a lot of really cool guests in the works. And I feel like we've bridged this summer lull gap very well, by the way, just with all the fever stuff going on, World Cup stuff going on. We've done some auxiliary things. So about a month plus in to Get In Sports, and I think we're doing pretty well here. Will Duncan is back. He is going to have several top 5 lists, little trivia going on pertaining Indiana high school athletes for us as we close out the show here today. Will, what do we got first, my man?
Okay, first we're going to see, can you name the top 5 Indiana high school gyms by capacity?
Okay, so the largest gyms in the state of Indiana.
The biggest ones.
For high school basketball. I know in America, Indiana has what, like 8 of the top 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I would assume these top 5 are probably the top 5 in America too, maybe?
That is correct.
Is that
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so number 1 would be down in Seymour.
Seymour is actually number 2.
Seymour is number 2.
Yes. Seymour has
Okay.
8,228.
8,228 for Seymour. Number 1, Newcastle.
Newcastle with 8,424, just edging out Seymour.
Okay, so almost 10,000 for those two guys, Seymour and Newcastle. Fun fact, I still haven't been to Newcastle. I have to go to actually haven't been to Seymour either. I got to get there, folks. That's on me. We're going to get out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, 3, 4, and 5. This is where it gets interesting because I think there's a lot of candidates. I believe somewhere in these top 5 is somewhere up in my neck of the woods. Would it be Elkhart Gym?
Elkhart is actually number 7.
Oh,
Number
okay,
7,
close.
yes.
Top 10, though. Okay, got to get the shout out to Elkhart. Okay, so how about I'm going to go with Washington High School?
Washington is not on the list.
Really?
No.
The Hatchet House? No Hatchet House. Okay. I'm going to go another gym over in that neck of the woods. We're going to go Lagodi. No Lagodi.
Not on the list.
This is crazy. Those are 2 historic gymnasiums, Jack Butcher Arena and the Hatchet House. If you haven't gone to either of those, definitely make your way to those places. Now, let's get back to the task at hand here. We have Newcastle and we have Seymour and then blank, blank, blank.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to solicit a hint. Can you give me area of the state for any of these 3, maybe?
Yes. So
I should know this, but
for number 4, you were going to think northeast. There is a college in this town, I will say.
okay, there's a college in this town.
That should help a lot.
Is this northeast? So is there a Fort Wayne connection here?
There's no Fort Wayne connection.
No Fort Wayne. How about Anderson? How about Muncie Central?
Muncie Central is
All
number
right.
4. With
Number 4.
7,635.
Okay.
So we're looking for 3 and 5.
3 and 5. I should know this. Okay. Is it in southern Indiana or west central Indiana? Either of these?
So one of these is super, super north of Indiana. The other one is also northeast, but not as far as Muncie.
Okay. So both on the northern
Yes.
part of the state.
Yes.
So one very, very north, you say.
And then I would say the second one is more central Indy, but it's still north of Indianapolis.
Okay. On the east side.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so how about, is there anything in Anderson?
Nothing in Anderson.
Okay,
no.
nothing in Anderson.
If you recall back to our top 5 high school all NBA players,
Okay.
there is an alumnus in that top 5 that went to this high school.
Okay. All time?
Yes, all
Or
time.
the
all
active?
time. All time.
Okay. I got to think back here.
Mm-hmm. We're calling back to other pods, folks.
There was Robertson, there was French Lick, there was Mike Conley, there was McGinnis.
Remember Conley's teammate.
Conley's teammate. Conley's teammate, as in like Greg Oden?
Mm-mm. Think of Memphis Grizzlies, Mike Conley teammate.
Oh, I've been to this gym.
Light bulb.
I have been to this gym, and it's a great place. Home of the Giants of Marion.
Marion High School is number 5, 7,560. So
Really?
yeah.
Bigger than the Hatchet House in Lagodi. That floors me. Those places are massive.
So now we are looking for number 3. I will say this one is the one that surprised me a little bit.
Really, really north, you say?
Very north.
Very north.
Very north.
Like bordering Michigan? Or no, you know what? Are we going like region? Like the region?
The region.
So like Gary.
Close.
area.
Very close.
How
to
about
Gary.
like East Chicago?
East Chicago is number 3 at 8,054.
Really? I haven't been there either.
I haven't
so I
either.
have only been to one of the top 5
Jeez.
biggest gyms in Indiana.
Biggest
That is
gyms in the country.
in the country. That's on me, folks. That's going to be, bookmark this. We're going to make videos of me visiting
Yes.
each of those places, and it's going to be awesome. Newcastle, Seymour, East Chicago, Muncie Central, and Marion. That is your top 5 biggest gyms in the nation.
In the nation.
And, of course, in the state of Indiana. All right, that was a
Love
good
it.
one.
Yes, love it. Now we will transition over to, can you name the top 5 high schools with the most Mr. Indiana basketballs of all time?
Okay, so they are featuring the most players who have been named Mr. Indiana basketball.
That is correct. I will say 1 through 4 are all tied for 4, and then there are 3 high schools tied for 3. So no one over 5.
No, so the most, no
It's-
one over 5.
No one over 5. There's 4 high schools that have 4, 3
That's the
high schools
most.
that have 3.
Okay,
Yes.
so a lot of parity here.
Lot of
So we're
parity.
going to name all 7, though.
If you want to, let's do
I
it.
say let's do it.
Let's
Yeah,
do it,
I
man.
think that's like an amended, like, ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go with Ben Davis High School.
Nothing for Ben Davis.
All right, we're going to go rapid fire here. How about Crispus Attucks?
Nothing for Chris's Attucks. They're sitting at 2.
All right, that shook me a little bit. How about, I'm going to go with Marion High School.
Marion is correct with 4. 1950, 1976, and Dom, they actually had teammates that tied for Mr. Indiana basketball in 1987.
Really?
How about that?
Was that the twins? No, that was a different.
was not the
okay,
twins,
that would have
no.
been really cool. You can cut
I thought
that.
that was cool though. Teammates that tie for it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure one of the Blackman family had to be in there.
Surely, I
Okay.
can look.
Okay, Marion High School. Love that for them. Or Zach Randolph maybe could have been.
He was actually not.
He was not.
No.
Jeez, no way. Okay, I got to go with Lawrence North.
Lawrence North is not on here either. No.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Greg Oden had to have, right? I mean,
So get this. We can take this off the record too. Greg Oden won Gatorade National Player of the Year in 2005 and lost Mr. Indiana basketball.
dude, you should put that in there.
Isn't that
That's
nuts?
crazy. Oh my word. To who?
I have no idea, but
Oh
he was
my goodness.
a back-to-back Gatorade
Timeout.
Player of
Was
the
that
Year.
2005?
2005, yes. He was a Gatorade Player of the Year in 05 and 06 and only won Mr. Indy basketball in 06.
Oh, so he did win one.
He won one,
but
he won a Gatorade Player of the
insane.
Nationals.
Luke Zeller from Washington High School,
Duh.
who went to Notre Dame, baby.
Spoiler.
Washington High School, because
Washington
it's all
High
the
School.
Zeller brothers.
Uh-huh.
Had to be.
Yep. So Washington High School was tied for first as well with 4. All 3 Zellers won in 05, 08, and 11, and there was one more in 1979.
1979 at Washington High School. There's your trivia question, everybody. How about Cody Zeller to IU, Tyler Zeller to North Carolina, Luke Zeller to Notre Dame? Luke Zeller, one of the most iconic moments in Indiana high school basketball history, half-court shot to win the state championship. You should put that on Get In Sports Instagram page. Actually, that'd be a great one. Unreal stuff right there. Okay, Washington High School. So we have Marion and Washington. Were they both tied?
They both tied
at
for 4. Yep,
Okay.
so you have 2 more for 4 and all 3 left for 3.
Okay, got it. Okay. How about Washington High School? I'm telling you, you got to get out to the Hatchet House. All right, think here, Don. How about Muncie Central?
Muncie Central is on here for 3. So they are tied for,
Nice.
what would that be? Tied for second with 3, I suppose. 1951, 1960, 1963.
They cleaned up in that era of like 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe. I mean, I don't know, because we had many drills growing up in high school basketball named Muncie Central, or like
There you go.
offensive sets and everything. So shout out Muncie Central, historic Indiana high school basketball program. A lot of lore there. Okay, so we have Marion, Washington, Muncie Central. I'm going to go with someone I know won Mr. Indiana basketball, and his name is Chris Wilkes, and he went to North Central High School.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. North Central is tied for first with 4 as well. 99, 04, 07, and 17.
Okay, so a lot post 2000.
Yeah.
That's okay. North Central, obviously a very historic Indiana high school
Yes.
basketball program as well. Let's keep it in Indy. How about Southport?
Not Southport.
No
Nope.
Southport.
No Southport.
Shout out Paul Scruggs, though. How about Park Tudor?
Mm-mm.
Ooh, okay, that was a good one. I thought that was a good one. Because I don't know if Yogi Ferrell actually did win, but or Jaren Jackson Jr. for that matter. Or anyway, how about Lawrence Central? Kyle Guy? Carry the weight of a program?
Not
Okay.
Lawrence Central. Nope.
All right, we gotta reset here. We got Marion, Washington, Muncie Central, North Central.
Yes.
Okay.
You're looking for one more tied for top 5. Let me give you the years because this will tell you a lot.
Okay.
46, 74, 84, 93. So this is a
Manual.
not Manual, no.
That's a good guess though.
It was a good guess.
Okay.
Manual's on there for 2,
Oh,
but not
okay.
for 4.
That will help me. Oh, Elkhart High School?
Not Elkhart, no. So,
Gary 21st Century.
yes, there is one 21st century. This high school had a winner in 2024. This man just transferred from Kansas to Louisville. That helps.
Kokomo High School.
Kokomo High School.
Really?
Yes, with 3, 45, 59, and did not have a winner until Flory in 2024.
No way. Kokomo.
Nearly 70 years with that one.
Flory put him over the edge, too. That's really cool. Flory's going to eat at Louisville, by the way. It's a
Yes.
shame he couldn't get to IU or Purdue. But, okay, that's really cool. So 2 more. We're doing like amended 7
Yep,
here.
we
So
have 2 more.
I love it. I love it. These are some serious, historic Indiana high school
Yes.
basketball programs. Okay, 2 more. Both are 3 or 1, 4, 1.
One with 4 and one with 3. I will say both of these cities have a college in them as well.
Okay, love that hint. That's a good hint. Any Fort Wayne schools?
No Fort Wayne schools.
Fort Wayne driving the ball with basketball. They make up for it with football though. Okay, college. Any Evansville represented?
Nope.
Oh, come on.
Think more north.
Okay, thinking more north. We're gonna go with. We already did Muncie Central.
Mm-hmm.
What about like a Franklin?
No Franklin.
No Franklin. What about okay?
Think northwest for one of these.
Northwest. Okay. Northwest for one of these and the college. Okay. I am Gary?
Nope, not Gary. Let me give you this.
need more
This should help
hints.
too. Yep.
Blanking.
For 4 for the college. That college is Division 3. The high school has 3. The college in that town is Division 1.
Both are Northwest?
One is more central, like predominantly. It's pretty close to Indianapolis. A little bit north of Indianapolis, but still very close. Just a little bit south of Muncie, a little bit north.
All
of
right.
Pendleton.
All right. We're gonna go Lafayette Jeff.
Lafayette Jeff is correct. That is one with 3. 1948, 1964, and 1986.
Okay.
So now you have number 1 tied for number 1 left with 4, and that was 46, 74, 84, 93. And it is basically central Indiana. I will give
Okay.
you that.
Okay. And this is the D3.
This is the Division 3, yes.
Okay, so Lafayette was the Northwest.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So okay. What about like a Anderson?
Anderson is correct.
Oh,
Anderson is
boom.
correct.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Who we got in Anderson? People
Okay.
are gonna love this.
From Anderson, it doesn't look like anybody made the ABA/NBA. We have Johnny Wilson, who went to Anderson College.
Know that name?
We have Roy Taylor, who tied. He went to Vincennes University of North Texas State. Talk about a mouthful. You have Troy Lewis in 1984, who went to Purdue. And then you have Maurice Fuller, who went to Vincennes University Southern in 1993.
So tied for first for producing the most Indiana Mr. Basketballs of all time. Will?
Yes. We have Anderson, Marion, Indianapolis North Central, and Washington tied for first.
Okay. Then we have Muncie Central, Lafayette Jeff, and
Flory's hometown.
And
Kokomo, Indiana. That is
rounding
correct.
out the list. Okay.
And there are all your high schools with the most.
That's really cool.
basketballs.
North Central, Muncie Central, Anderson.
Got a lot of good representation. Some
A lot
old,
of good
some
representation.
new. I loved it. Yeah.
All right. Challenging Fort Wayne, Evansville. Need more out of you. Both. All right. And South Bend, for that matter. Need some more Mr. Basketballs. But okay. Really good trivia right there. Centered around basketball. We, of course, just talked to Matt Carroll, so we're talking about basketball. Really great guest, as I mentioned. You can always follow us on YouTube, subscribe. We just got a ton of listeners for our head coach Brett Dietz podcast. Will, hey, real quick, I want to get your thoughts on the Monon Bell announcement. What do you think of that?
I think, as a Wabash guy, it is so cool. I know the drive is far, but I guarantee.
Come on, it's not that big a deal, right?
There is going to never be hardly ever a time again where there's going to be a neutral site game, and the fact that it's my senior year, last chance to win the Bell, I can't think of a bet. Sure, I would love it on my home turf. Couldn't win one there, but I would much rather drive to Muncie than go back down south anytime again. I know that you may disagree.
No, cover your ears, DePaul fans, but I will say, I'm being 100% honest, Wabash is an excellent host of the Bell game. They really are. Okay, look, I mean, I call it a spade here. Talk a lot of smack, love DePaul, but it's true. Crawfordsville does a wonderful job. I think what people aren't understanding here is that this is not an every year thing.
No.
Okay. It's nothing against any other place that was not chosen in Indianapolis, in anywhere. I know it may have been more convenient in Indianapolis. We understand that, but it is so cool, the opportunity that is presented here. How many people do you think want to go to the Bell game, whether it's an alum of either of these universities or just a casual college football fan who knows this is an unbelievable historic rivalry and they can't get tickets?
Yeah.
And that's no fault to Wabash or DePaul. It's like these are D3 stadiums, and 10 to 11,000 is an amazing crowd every single time. And the tailgate's incredible. But like, this gives a unique opportunity to get, I mean, on the low end, in my opinion, 15,000, and on the high end, like, let's sell this out.
Yes, easily. And I think that this is going to be one of the years where it is a more competitive game. Obviously, DePaul has had the edge in more recent years. Mm-hmm. A lot of your good seniors just graduated. I think that if you have not gone to a Bell game, this is the perfect year to go. I mean, you will be a part of history being the only neutral site game in who knows how long, really competitive game. And then you can say, I was there in 2026, 2027 for the Bell game at Muncie in Ball State.
That's just really cool. It's a really cool opportunity. If you're upset about it, I can't help you. Just get over it. Come to Muncie. Make a weekend out of it.
And come
Late
see us.
November. There could be a live podcast, all right? I got a good reaction on Instagram when I posted that. So go take a look at it, see what you think of a potential college game day with Nate Spangle and Don Miranda. But really good basketball trivia. Matt Carroll, great as always. Follow us on all the social medias. We're growing this thing. And like I said, we have a ton of really good football guests upcoming. So I mean, I'm talking when the second Colts training camp starts, you're going to want to view. We're going to go to weekly podcasts. I don't know if I've said that anywhere really, but we're going to go to weekly podcasts because there's just too much good stuff. And we're just rocking and rolling here at Get In Sports. So Will Duncan, great as always. Don Miranda, thanks so much for watching and listening to Get In Sports. We'll see you next week with a great guest. Who will it be? James Boyd of The Athletic. How about that for a tease? We'll see you next time.